Give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. John 5:39. Praise Yah for the word and for the day of rest, for the gathering of the hearing of the word. Search the scriptures for them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Father's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and not the honor that come from Elohim only? 1 Kings chapter 15. I want to say, let's pick it up, let it roll. Pick it up, let it roll. We in 1 Kings chapter 15. We ain't looked at the prophecy against Jeroboam quite yet, because we did talk about it a little bit. We did read that part. We didn't deal with chapter 13 because there was no need. We will have to come back and look at chapter 12 again. But we will do so in a moment, y'all willing. If not tonight, y'all willing another day. But 1 Kings chapter 15, we looked at Asa. So we come around here to verse 32, and we're going to be looking at Baasha, and we're going to try to look at a little bit of Zimri and a little bit of Omri. And we'll stop at Ahab, because Ahab is a whole matter all unto himself, because there's a lot spoken of Ahab. So we will not try to fit Ahab in here this evening. We're probably not going to get to no kings of Judah this evening, but we're going to try to look at the cross reference of Baasha and Asa. And then we got Nadab. So we looked at Nadab a little bit. We got Zimri, Elah, Omri. Yeah, we start right there. So let's look at about First Kings 15 and 32 and read about Baasha just one more little time. It said, and there was war between Asa and Baasha, king of Yashar, all their days. So while these two men were kings, they warred the whole time. So let's go back to verse 9 in chapter 15, and let's look at the differences between these two men. Let's look at verse 9 of 1 Kings 15, and let's look at what type of man Asa was, and then we'll come back down, and we'll look at what type of man that Baasha was. It says, in the 20th year of Jeroboam, king of Yashar, reigned Asa over Yehudah, and 41 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Machah, the daughter of Absalom. And Asa did that which was right in the eyes of Yahuwah, as did David his father. And he took away the Sodomites out of the land, and removed all the idols that his father had made. And also Machah his mother, even her, he removed from being queen, because she had made an idol in a grove. And Asa destroyed her idol, and burnt it by the brook of Kidron. Now, let's come over here to 1 John chapter 5 real fast. He destroyed those idols. And idols is a big problem amongst our people. And I'm be honest with you, and a lot of times our people make idols out of anything. See, we classify, before we read 1 John chapter 5, let's just read Ezekiel 14 on general principle, just to establish what I'm about to say for those who may not be familiar. Because an idol is anything we put before Elohim. And just thinking about it, sometimes it could be friends, it could be family, it could be knowledge, it could be culture, it could be anything that really is going to allow you to where you may think you serving Yah, but really you serving your own belly. 14 and 3 of the book of Ezekiel, it says, Son of man, these men have set up their idols in their heart, and put the stumbling block of their iniquity before their face. Should I be inquired of at all by them? Therefore speak unto them, and say unto them, Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim, every man of the house of Yashar that set up idols in his heart, and put the stumbling block of his iniquity before his face, and come to the prophet, I Yahuwah will answer him that come, according to the multitude of his idols. Now, let's look at Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 4. He said he's going to answer you according to the multitude of your idols. So the number of idols or the stumbling blocks of iniquity that you have set up in your heart, that is how he is going to come, and that's how he's going to answer you. After we look at Isaiah 66, and we probably start at verse 3. We'll come to 2 Kings chapter 1, I suppose. 2 Kings chapter 1. Since that's what we dealing with, that's how Yashar loved idols. They loved their idols. Isaiah 66 and 3. Get hold of 2 Kings chapter 1, probably about verse 10. I would be better. Let's see what he says. He that kill an ox is as he slew a man. He that sacrifice a lamb as if he cut off a dog's neck. He that offer oblation as if he offered swine's blood. He that burn incense as if he blessed an idol. See, notice this here? He said, he that burned incense as if he had blessed an idol. Now let's examine that particular thing of what he said in this verse. Because he said, you got a man around here burning incense as if he blessed an idol. Let me find the word. Just bear with me for a second. When we look at the word idol in this verse, it is a vow, and it's basically just iniquity, wickedness, lawlessness, trouble, and sorrow. A lot of times when you sit back and you have people who worship idols, their idol pretty much allows them to do whatever it is that they want to do. This is why people sit back and now that I just put that in my head. Hold on. Hold on one second. Well, I put this thought together, how I put my words together, how I'm going to say this here. When we look at the word incense, you know that's the word lavona, and it's just a simple whiteness, or perhaps that is smoke or ceremonial white resin, burning fragrance, but something that gives a sweet smelling odor. What we like to do with these idols is just like what we mentioned before we started. Your ancestors took that golden calf. Let's look at it in Exodus 32 just for an example, even though they're not burning incense. But this is what happens when you're dealing with an idol. And after that, we'll go back and look at 1 Corinthians chapter 10. We still hold in 2 Kings chapter 1 and 1 Kings chapter 15. But we need to sit back and look at something else. And 1 John chapter 5. The danger of idols. And Ezekiel 14. We're holding a lot of stuff. Just try to remember it. Get your place marked. I know it's a lot. Just bear with me though. It's Exodus chapter 32, right? And we're going to look at about verse 1. And then again, what we're going to see is this is the same Jeroboam. See, Jeroboam didn't learn from the transgression that happened in the wilderness because he duplicated it. And this is what ends up going all the way down the line when you look at the children of Yashar. We're seeing though with Asa destroyed these idols. But the thing with an idol is that there's lawlessness attached to it. It's trouble. The book tell you the way of transgressors is hard. Sometimes it don't seem like the way of transgressors is hard because it seems that they're getting everything that they desire. But as the book says, though they may increase, it will not be well with them. And that's what you have to consider. No matter how much sin and iniquity that they commit, and it seems that they prosper in their ways, in the last, it will not be well with them. Nevertheless, when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods which shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Mizraim, we wot not what is become of him. Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in your ears of your wives and of your sons and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool. After he had made a molten calf, he said, These be thy gods, O Yashar, which brought thee up out of the land of Mizraim. Now they done took this golden calf, and they They've done a grievous error. Let's look at Isaiah 45 real fast. It just came to my head at the error that they had committed. It might be 42:8 though. It's 42:8. Isaiah 42:8. This is what they done. They turned around and they gave the praise of Yahuwah until a graven image. Hold on. This is what they done did. They done took the praise of Yahuwah and gave it to a graven image. He say, I am Yahuwah, that is my name. And my esteem will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. See, this is what I turn around and see. See, Mashiach, he's an idol. Mashiach is not a graven image because Yahushua was not fashioned with the graving tool. That's their first mistake when they state that. He's not a graven image. You know what I'm saying? If we look at what it says a graven image is, then they would not be able to actually state that because Hamashiach would not fit into those terms. So then they try to come with the demigod thing, which is a whole nother thing, because when he was the Son of Man, he was not Elohim. He spoke as if he spoke those things which were as if they had already occurred. When he rose from the dead, he became Elohim. He wasn't a man anymore, so it wasn't a demigod type thing. That word is pesal, and that is literally an image, an idol, or a graven image, a carved image, something that's created by man's hands. Let's look at something real quick in Romans chapter 1. I know it's some other stuff we just got to hold, but we got to understand the seriousness of an idol, and then we're going to have to look at something in the law along with it. But y'all willing, I remember every spot that we called for, and we're going to go grab them and pick them up. Because those idols end up becoming a stumbling block for people. And then you want to come inquire of Yah with these idols in your heart and think that he's supposed to hearken unto that. He's supposed to hold you down on that. You know what I'm saying? It's like this here, right? People make idols out of everything. People make idols out of marriage. People make idols out of their children. People make idols out of Hebrew language. People make idols out of Hebrew culture. People make idols out of their job. People make idols out of their material possessions. People make idols out of their physical appearance. Do you know what I'm saying? All of these things that we take and we place more value, and they end up coming before Yah because you end up serving them. Because whom you ever yield your member servants to obey is to whom you obey. And we don't be sitting there considering that. This is why certain things he excludes from you from doing or from having, so that these things will not cause you to serve them versus serving him. And we don't consider that because you thinking it's not a big deal. That it is a big deal because it could pull you away. So then you know what a nigga think? Well, it wouldn't affect me that way, but y'all don't move one, it won't affect 20 of them. But it'll affect 10, so that's just for the 10 it'll affect and not the 20. No, it's for the whole 30. It's for the whole 30. Because a lot of times we feel like, well, I'm strong, and that ain't me. So what, it ain't you? You know what I'm saying? How about you consider the person who's weaker who it is and don't partake in it, because it might cause them to fall. If you sit back and you realize that we're members of one body, members one of another, and that we should have care one for another, and have that concern to understand I won't be a stumbling block for an individual just because I feel like I have the freedom and Yahushua to go do this or go do that. Because you don't never know, this man could put you in a situation to show you may not be as strong as you think you are, or as strong as others might perceive you to be. Because you just feel that way, that's not gonna happen to me. Because that junk could get you real quick, like especially if you haven't really solidified yourself 10 toes down in the faith like you're supposed to, and you know that you have certain areas of weakness that don't cause you to become perfected as you know that you ought to be. Nevertheless, Romans chapter 1. I want what? Verse 18? Yeah, I want verse 18. He say, for the wrath of Elohim is revealed from Shamahim against all ungodliness, and we will see that to a certain extent in a moment, and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness, because that which may be known of Elohim is manifest in them, for Elohim have showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Elohim had, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew Elohim, they esteemed him not as Elohim, neither were they thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. That's what you've seen with your ancestors. They knew Elohim, he had manifested himself unto them, but yet they didn't esteem him as Elohim by crafting a four-footed beast, as we're about to read. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the esteem of the uncorruptible Elohim into an image made like to a corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Wherefore Elohim also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of Elohim into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who are baruched forever. Amen. So that's why he sit back and tell you, I'm not going to give my esteem to any graven images. And this is why that wrath of those people, it fell upon their heads in Exodus, because they hadn't gave his esteem unto a graven image. And this is why you see Asa having to resolve. Let's look at the law. Deuteronomy what? Chapter 7. Deuteronomy chapter 7. Now, what you seen Asa do in putting away his mother from being malcontinated to him is the simple fact of she was violating that law, and he wasn't going along with it. See, it's a lot of times you got people close to you and they violating the law, and you want to go along with it. And see, I ain't talking about people who outside the world. Even though somebody may be a natural born, blood related son or daughter of Yashar, if they living like a heathen for all intents and purposes, they like a heathen. All that stuff talking about we got to wake them up, that's all well and good, because you're not supposed to. Nowhere in this book does it tell you to wake anybody up to their nationality. That is a man-made doctrine. That's definitely not in the book. If somebody say they don't believe in Yahushua, then their purpose is to actually tell people to return unto Yah. But it would be quite impossible to return unto Yah, because the covenant has been violated, and the violation of the covenant prescribed in the law is death. There is no remedy of return for violating this covenant nowhere in the law. Dudes who don't believe in Hamashiach don't deal with that nor speak with that, and they can parse till their fingers get tired. They can write out Hebrew and speak Hebrew till their tongues get tired. But it's not there. Hello? What's up, dude? It's not there. It's not. It's simply just not there. There is not a remedy anywhere in Torah for breaking this covenant for you to be able to return. You saying I'm returning and I'm repenting is not enough. See, we're not talking about individuals. We're talking about the people as a whole. So if the nation of Yasharal can't be redeemed as a whole, then you know individuals cannot be redeemed. Period. Because there is no remedy or satisfaction or redemption clause in the Torah for the breaking of the covenant. Ask them niggas to parse that for you. Now what you ask them niggas to do? They smart they are niggas. Ask them how to that. Show me that, please, sir. I'd like to see it. Show me the remedy of how we can return. Because repentance you cannot return. You can't do it. The first thing this man told you in Exodus chapter 20, the first command that he gave you was he told you that he was Yahuwah your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim. Have no other gods before him. Don't make you no images of anything in the skies, in the heavens, in the ground, not of no beasts, not of no man, not nothing. Because he said, I'm a jealous Elohim. It's the first thing he told you. So you have to look at those things where anything you setting up in your heart as an idol, he's a jealous Elohim. He told you in the law his name is jealous. Nevertheless, matter of fact, let me see what stinking dog. Let me see something real quick. Give me a second. This doggone charger, man. Apple, no, they be raping niggas for these charges, boy. I promise they do. Apple be getting over. What you gonna do though? I don't know what we gonna do, but Apple be killing me, man. Boy, you gotta buy a charger seem like every other day, man, with these people. That word for jealous in Exodus chapter 20 is kana. Just so you know. And maybe one day we'll spell it out. See what he means when he tells us that. Nevertheless, Deuteronomy chapter 7. Verse 25. Matter of fact, verse 22. It says, and Yahuwah Elohim will put out those nations before thee by little and little. Thou may not consume that at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But Yahuwah Elohim shall deliver them unto thee, and shall destroy them with mighty destruction, until they be destroyed. He shall deliver their kings into thy hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under Shamahim. There shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou have destroyed them. The graven images of their gods shall you burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to Yahuwah thy Elohim. That's the thing we always got to consider. When you looking at these idols and the things that people put together that cause them to serve other gods that take you away, you know the Master told you in Luke 14, that you got to hate father, mother, son, daughter, even your own self. Basically letting you know that nothing can come before Yah. And all this is telling you what's in Deuteronomy 13. Because Deuteronomy 13 told you if your wife or your brother who was as your own soul told you to come and serve other gods, that you were supposed to be the first one to put the stone upon them. This is why Asa was ready, willing, and able to remove his mother from being Malkah at that particular time. And you have to sit back and look at that. Though one call himself a brother or one who does not, if you can perceive that they are serving idols, you are to separate yourselves from those individuals. And that's just what it is. And nobody don't really be wanting to do that because of the close connection and tie that we have with people, because you don't think you can be snared therein. But he just told you that it can be a trap. It can be a trap. The things that we don't think could be traps to our soul are traps to our soul. It's like we don't take what this man say for face value when he trying to warn you, because he knows what's going to happen if you do it. It's the same way when you tell your children, don't do this and don't do that. You already know the outcome of what's going to happen if they participate in particular activities. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know the type of individuals who they're dealing with, and you know the type of influence they can have and what they can do to your child. And this is all Yah does. But when we read these things out the word, and these things are preached or these things are taught, they take it as the person who's preaching or teaching it is given the edict and command or the decree that this is what he wants people to do, versus this is what Yah wants his people to do. Because he says his sheep hear his voice. So this is what he wants his people to do. Because he's actually trying to protect you. I don't think we sit back and realize as individuals that you protect who you love. If someone is moving and aiming to protect you from things, it's because they love you. If they're trying to protect you from someone harming you, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, whether it be spiritual, that person loves you and cares about you, and they don't want any harm to come unto you. If someone threatening you or disrespecting you bring rage to them to the point where they want to do something to these individuals in the name of your protection, is because this person cared for you. When Amalek did what he did, it brought a rage to Yah's heart, and he moved to protect that in which he loved. With no hesitation, there was no thought to him to move to do this. When the king of Moab went to go get Balaam to curse us, Yah moved to protect us, because we are the apple of his eye, the rod of his inheritance, that of whom he loves. He's going to jump up to protect you. And we don't look at the instructions that this man give is for our protection, because he loves us. See, we quick to scream Elohim is love and Yah is love, and then we don't actually look at and perceive the love that he shows in every single solitary aspect of it. Because who you love, you protect, and you shield them from harm, and you warn them from harm. But we take this stuff and we kick just like rebellious children, because you just want to do just like you did when you were a teenager. When your parents told you don't hang with this person and don't hang with that person, you want to hang with them and you want to fool with them till they get you in trouble, and then you sitting there looking stupid. Now this is different than getting a whooping or getting put on punishment or possibly going to jail. You talking about going to hell because of your company that you keep. And you got to consider that. Verse 26, he said, neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thy house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. Now we know our bodies are the temples of the living Elohim, according to what Paul wrote us. He even told us that in the book of Job. So if we look at that our houses, our bodies, that we're not supposed to bring a cursed thing into them, no idols, into our bodies, into our hearts, into our minds, then we need to consider the people, places, and things around us, and are we putting them before Elohim? Are we putting our own will before Elohim? How are we making our own self? Because remember, Paul told you in Philippians that their God is their belly, they mind earthly things. Have we made ourselves our own gods? Because our will trumps his. Because the master said he did not come to do with his will, but the will of him that sent him. Not my will be done, but thy will be done. Just a sort of simple aspect of like this here. Just a simple example of just like this here. Because this came in mind. You look at Jose. Y'all told Jose to go marry a whore. Nowhere in it does it say that if Jose wanted to marry a whore. You don't see Jose protesting about going to marry a whore. He went and did what Yah told him to do, because it wasn't about what he wanted. It was about what Yah instructed him to do. How many men would go marry a whore because Yah told you to do it? How many of y'all would have said, I don't want to marry a whore. I don't want to be with this person. This is what I want. How many women would sat back and look at being Leah's place? She being given to Jacob. How many of y'all, you don't see her saying, I don't want to marry him? How many have been like, I don't want to marry him. I want to marry this person. When you sit back looking at it is, if you say you are serving a Yah and things are being directed in a particular fashion, would you trust his will and accept his will, and knowing that if it's his will, that would be the best thing for you and it will work out for your benefit? Or would you seek to accomplish your own will and deviate from his will? And we talking about saying if it was something that you didn't want, because we got to use that extreme case. This man was told to go marry a whore. How many people gonna go do that? Because Yahushua was told to do the same thing. Go marry a whore. How many people gonna go marry a whore? Not you went to holler at her and you found out she was a whore and you accepted that. That's not what we're talking about. Because dudes do that every day. And there's nothing wrong with that if you choose to do with it. If you choose to do that. Nothing wrong with it at all. You know what I'm saying? You meet a woman, you find out she was a whore in the past, and you overlook that, and you can leave that right where you found it at. There's nothing wrong with that. You do that. Don't let nobody tell you nothing wrong with that. That's what you choose to do. If you can live with it, if you can deal with it, it's not an issue for you. Because some people it is an issue for, whether they be male or whether they be female. If it's not an issue for you, then so be it. But we talking about you were instructed, go marry a whore. A woman beloved of her father, who loved flagons of wine and seek the other gods. That's what he was told to go do. He didn't kick, complain, or do nothing. He just went and did that. You don't know if that's what he wanted to do. You never heard if that's what he wanted to do, because what y'all wanted him to do was more important than what he wanted to do. And we talk about the mentality of it, not him going to marry somebody. The thought process that Jose had. The thought process that he had. And that's what we have to get to, is the thought process. Because our thought process is we want what we desire to be his will. Then when it's not his will, we try to fit our desire to be his will. That is you being your own God. That is you having an idol in your heart. Because you're not serving the living Elohim, you serving your own belly. And that's what he mean when he said they set up idols in the heart, the stumbling block of their iniquity. Because it's the things that you desire. As we read last week with Saul, Saul wanted the esteem from the people. That was the stumbling block of his iniquity. That was the idol that was in his heart. The scribes and the Pharisees were desirous to rule over the people. And they wanted the praise of men, just like Saul did. Think about it. And that was their idol in their heart. And that was the stumbling block of their iniquity. Do you know what I'm saying? It's small things like that that stop you from being saved. When you sit back and you look at the people, what was their idols in their heart? And a lot of times they wanted to be like the nations. They seen the nations and what they were doing, and they wanted, what they had. And they wanted to serve Yah how the nations were serving their gods and put Yah's name on it. When really they were serving their own bellies, because these idols allowed them to do what they wanted to do. But yet I can still serve Yah. If I take this idol and put Yah's name on it, then I'm trying to make myself feel better about serving this wood and stone, this devil, this doctrine of death that cannot see, nor hear, nor smell, nor have hands to save, nor feet to walk. But I feel better because I call him Yah. That's what we do. That's what we do. We don't think that's what we do. That's what we do. That will lead to strict damnation. Nevertheless, we're good in Deuteronomy chapter 7. Let's finish this Isaiah 66 though. And then we'll swing the I know we got 1 John 5 on deck, Ezekiel 14 on deck, 2 Kings chapter 1 on deck. But we had to take that little break. Well, not a little break, but a little detour to examine that. Something that we need to consider. Because a lot of brothers and sisters feel like as long as they're not a Christian or they're not a Muslim or they're not a Buddhist, they're not serving idols. But yet it's niggas who profess to serve Yah to serve idols every day. Every day. Every day. 66:3, the book of Isaiah. Excuse me. He that kill an ox as if he slew a man. He that sacrifice a lamb as if he cut off a dog's neck. He that offer an oblation as if he offered swine's blood. He that burn incense as he bless an idol. Yea, they have chose their own ways, and their soul delight in their abomination. You see this here? He is ascribed. Somebody need to mute their phone. They got noise going on. He has ascribed somebody who's serving an who's blessed an idol as a person who's chose their own way. You're doing what you want to do, which is coinciding with the fact that the word for idol in that particular chapter is iniquity, lawlessness. Lawlessness. Idols let you do what you want to do. See, I'm gonna sit back and when you look at, hey, somebody got muted phone. You got a lot of noise going on. You got to pay attention. Y'all got to pay attention to what you got going on. It's other people listening. You got to pay attention to what you got going on. And they still not listening, so that means they don't even know they're doing it. So, and what's the book of thing? When you look at the book of Daniel, it says that the beast or the little horn will seek to change times and laws. And what he, yeah, you got. Hey, you need to mute your phone, Will. Will, you need to mute your phone. When you look at what he's seeking to do, because he's seeking to allow the people to do what they want to do. Hello? Hello? So that's the most dangerous part of the play. This was what Jeroboam crafted and started and continued because of him. Was the people doing what they wanted to do the whole time, claiming that they serving Yah. This is why Jeroboam's name is mentioned repeatedly. You know what I'm saying? As forth as we're saying that they walk in the sins of Jeroboam. So let's go ahead and look at that 1 Kings chapter 12 real quick that we started, and then we'll look at 2 Kings chapter 1. 1 Kings 12 and 25. So we got to sit back and look at how Jeroboam just repeated the error, and we got to go get that 1 Corinthians chapter 10 after this. That he just repeated the error that they created in the wilderness by creating a graven image and putting Yah's name on it. And putting his name on it. Because they said, these be thy gods that brought you up out of Mizraim. They put his name on it. And it made them feel better about their lawlessness. Jeroboam is going to make golden calves and try to put Yah's name on it to make them feel better about their lawlessness. That's the danger of worshiping an idol, because idolatry leads to lawlessness. This is why you see all in the law, he tell you not to do these things and do these things, because the nations did these things, because the nations served idols. So in all intents and purposes, they can do what they want to do. They can do what they want to do. And see, this is what people want to do. You want to come serve Yah and still do what you want to do, and then say you serve Yah. And in the weakness of it, all we want to do is tell people we Israelites and we need to wake up, and that make you feel better about being wicked. This is what makes us feel better about being wicked, because this is what we have taken in 2017 and made the good news of Yahushua HaMashiach, the word of the living Elohim, to be about you knowing you an Israelite. The word was never about that. You cannot examine this text and see any of those type of instructions being made. It's not there. He told you to go preach the word. So if he telling you to preach the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach, then that is the gospel of repentance for remission of sins. Your sins are not remitted because you know you are the seed of Israel. So what? So what? You know that. What good is it doing you? Because this is what we bring to people first. That's what we promoting. They not learning about Yah. They learning about who they is. You supposed to be learning about your Elohim. He said, all those that know the Father come unto me. He said, it's written in the law that they shall all be taught of Elohim. Not that they shall all be taught of the Yashar, but that they all should be taught of Elohim. So what good is it that you know that? That's not what this thing is about. And that's why we can serve idols in our own heart, putting Yah's name on it, and feel good about ourselves, because we the people of the book. And he'll straighten it all out when we get to the wilderness. We all trying to get it right, and that man ain't trying to hear none of that. That man ain't trying to hear none of that. Those are excuses for weak-minded, undisciplined, wicked individuals for the promotion and strengthening of their wickedness. That's what that is. Instead of saying, just like what he said in Luke 18, that sinner so much wouldn't lift his eyes at Shamahim and smote his hand on his breast and say, be merciful to me, I am a sinner. These niggas ain't doing that. Ain't nobody doing that. All you hear is excuses for iniquity, because your God is a God made with hands. That's why. Who gonna tell the people that they may consider and repent and say they so? Nobody. Because don't nobody want to make nobody upset. Don't nobody want nobody not to like them. Everybody wants to be down and cool and be. Why do you want to be accepted by wicked people? Why? I don't understand how all of y'all say you believe in Yah, you believe in Yahushua, you want to be saved, and you have a desire to be accepted by wicked people. How? None of your ancestors who were righteous had any desire to be accepted by wicked people. They had no desire to be accepted by any of them. They could care less. It meant absolutely nothing to them. Especially them if they said they were the household of the faith. They didn't care. But you know what? We try to cloak it in. We gotta try to wake them up. See, we gotta try to wake them up. Man, nigga, I don't want to hear that, nigga. You know what I'm saying? That man ain't tell you to do no junk like that. That man told you stay away from people like that. That's not your job to wake nobody up. He said a man of the master ought to be apt to teach. That's the teacher's job, to be able to navigate and move and talk to people who are wicked, that they might turn from opposing themselves and come to the knowledge of the truth to say they so. It's your job to be an example of the word by living it, that possibly by your upright conduct, your upright conversation, that they may consider and inquire of where they may learn of the lifestyle that you lead, so they might say they so. We be doing this stuff backwards, and you wonder why it's not effective. Nevertheless, 1 Kings 12 and 25. Then Jeroboam built Shechem and Mount Ephraim and dwelt therein, and went out from thence and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of Daud. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of Yahuwah at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their master, even unto Rehoboam, Malach of Yehudah. They shall kill me and go again to Rehoboam, Malach of Yehudah. Whereupon the Malach took counsel and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Yashar, which brought thee up out of the land of Mishraim. This man, because we know the law said Deuteronomy 17, he supposed to have a copy of the law. This man sat up and said the exact same thing that Aaron said. So it said he took counsel. So we could probably wager from the counsel he received that them niggas probably read Exodus and told him to do the same thing. So what did he do? He repeated the mistake of his forefathers, of which he was taught from a child. You know he had to know this, but he didn't care. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. That ended up being a stumbling block of iniquity for many people, for generations. For generations. For generations. Boy, I promise to you, boy, it don't pay to be fooled up with no stupid man. I promise to you, in any type of level and in any type of capacity. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. I promise it don't. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, man, about verse 5. I promise it do not pay to be fooled up with no stupid man. That junk, they're crazy right there. That nigga so dumb, he's thinking, oh, they gonna kill me. Let's make, so you know what he do? You know your Elohim don't say. This man was more worried about men killing him than Elohim killing him. Now you could get the strong instance where the master say, don't fear them that could kill the body, but fear him that could kill the body and cast the soul into hell. I say fear him. Because Jeroboam showed you who he feared and who he reverenced. He feared man. He was more concerned what man could do to him than what Yah could do to him. And that's how we live right now on well, technically, in the quote unquote, the first day of July, 2017. That's how we live right now. You worry about what man can do to you. You fear men. We don't fear Elohim, we fear men. We fear men won't talk to us. We fear men won't want to deal with us. You fear losing your friends. You fear losing your family. You fear losing your spouse. You fear losing your children. They become your gods. That's where your fear, that's where your respect and your reverence and your service is. That's where it's at, because that's where his was at. He didn't even consider in his heart that this is an abomination and a cursed thing for me to do this, according to the Torah that he should have known oh so well. No, he didn't consider that. And he didn't consider the ramification of his behavior later on down the line of how it could affect third and fourth generations being cursed, like the man told you. 10 and 5. Now these things were our examples to the intent that we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted. Neither be ye idolaters as were some of them, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Neither let us commit fornication as some of them committed and fell in one day 320,000. Neither let us tempt Mashiach as some of them also tempted and were destroyed of serpents. Neither murmur ye as some of them also murmured and were destroyed of the destroyer. Now all these things happened unto them for ensamples, and they are written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the world came. See, I'm going to tell y'all something. See, old potato head, country soft bastard, wicked individual. They don't like to look at stuff like this for you to see that there's repercussions for your iniquity. Because these things are written for us to be admonished not to do them. They're examples unto us of what will occur to you if you participate in this type of behavior. But we think we can love everybody out of sin, and that's not what Yah did. You would sit back and look at it. You're supposed to look at what he did to his son and fear that. Because if he took his son through that so that sin could be removed, what you think he gonna do to you if you got sin on you? So you don't consider that. If this is what he did to his son for the removal of sin, what do you think he gonna do to you if you got sin on you? You looking at what happened to Hamashiach is an admonition of you not to commit sin. That when you came out of that water, you was going to walk in newness of life. Considering all those things that you suffered, you would have learned obedience by them. You would have learned obedience by the beating. You would have learned obedience by the chastising. See, Hamashiach had already been taught what to do. Then he went astray by becoming sin. Not that he went astray by committing sin, by becoming sin. And he had to beat him. And when he beat him, he learned obedience. He ain't had a problem no more. I'm not going to go astray. I'm not going to become sin. I'm not going to do sin. I'm not going to do that. And we supposed to follow in that same pattern. We don't like to do it. Because most of y'all didn't like to be beat when you were a child. You didn't like to be punished when you were a child. You didn't like it. That's why many people don't beat their children now. That's why they don't chastise their children now. Because you didn't like it when it happened to you. So you don't do it to your children. And that breeds lawlessness. Because your ancestors didn't do it when you got outside the word of Yahuwah, and therefore that's why you were bred into lawlessness. And then it just breeds more and more children into more and more lawlessness. That's all it does. And don't nobody want to stop it. You know what I'm saying? That's why our children run out here in the streets shooting up parks while little kid playing t-ball. You know what I'm saying? That's why they wild in Chicago like they wild. That's why they gang bang in LA like they do. And in Little Rock and in New York and all the places where niggas be out here in the streets wilding. Because there was lawlessness in a lot of households. Not everyone. Because some of the people, some of these children, they mom and daddy taught them right. And them niggas just chose to do what they wanted to do. Just like Samuel's sons. You know they were taught right. They chose to do what they wanted to do. You can't do nothing about that. But when you have a vicious cycle of lawlessness in the parents, it proceeds to the child, and then it proceeds to their children, and to their children. And then this is why we have the problems that we have. And nobody wants to break the cycle by standing up and saying, this shall no longer continue. I am going to split your head to the white meat and feed it to you if you ever in your life do that again. See, nobody wants to do that. Because we think that's too harsh. It's too mean. We try to tell y'all the most effective way of getting evil up out of us when he done already laid the blueprint down how to do it. How you gonna tell the man? Which one of y'all taught him knowledge? Which one of y'all showed him the way of understanding? Which one of y'all did it? So how you gonna tell him his way is not effective? How wicked is that? That we try to tell him his way of correcting and teaching is not effective. Because before he bust you upside your head, he showed you plenty of mercy and compassion. Because before he crashed Yashar out and put them up out the land, he showed them a lot of mercy before he put them out that land. He gave them a lot of chastisement too before he did it. See, we don't pay attention to that. Because he long suffering, he got long mercy. That mercy runs out though. See, I'm going to get y'all to understand something. We have to start understanding what grace is and stop looking at it in the construct of European thought process, because grace is not a time period to get it right. You don't have a grace. The book don't tell you nothing about you have a grace period to get it right. Grace is referring to a favor, a gift of which is bestowed upon you of which you do not deserve. You did not deserve the body and blood of Yahushua. That is the grace. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. That's a gift that you didn't earn. A gift that you didn't deserve. Not, I got time. Who said you got time? Where does the book tell you you got time? The book says it's high time to wake up out of sleep. Your salvation is nearer than what you believe. The book tell you you better be ready. You don't know when this man coming. Not that you got time. That you got a grace period. Where you get that from? Where is that at in the text? It's not there. It's not there. You don't know how long this man compassion is going to be for you. You don't know how long it's going to be. You don't know. Saul grace, quote unquote, Saul grace period was short. Yashar as a nation, it was long before he put them out. I better start paying attention. Start letting people tell you anything and believe it. 2 Kings chapter 1 verse 10. Because you know, Brew quick to tell you that's where the grace come in. That's the grace period. And don't know in the book tell you about no grace period. That's favor. Grace is favor. He said, I show mercy on whom I show mercy and compassion on whom I show compassion. That's favor. I'm doing something for you that you did not earn on your own merit, but because I'm merciful that you might fear me and love me and serve me and trust in me and hope in me. Not that you got some space. Some people don't tell them people they got no space. They told them you better get that together now. Not 3 weeks from now, 3 days ago, 3 months ago. You got to have a sense of urgency in your brain. If you have in your thought process you got time, then you're never going to accomplish anything. Because you just feel like you can put it off, It's not a priority. If you have a sense of urgency, you'll get it done. Case in point, just because I've been looking at the dude talk about that. They say when Pac got out of prison, he felt like he was going to die. So he made so much music. He had a sense of urgency to get things done because he felt like tomorrow could be the day. So I'm prepping myself and being ready now because tomorrow could be that day. If tomorrow passing is not that day, does that mean the next day ain't going to be that day? But that's why he worked the way. That's why the book say be diligent in your labor. You have to have that type of work ethic. Your life is but a vapor. Tomorrow could be that day. It could be that day. 2 Kings chapter 1 verse 10. Actually, we want verse 1. 2 Kings 1 and 1. We'll do it like that. We talk about this little. Well, we met as we'll read 1 Kings chapter 22 and verse 51 and just go ahead and look at this king right now, since we around here looking at it, and just do it like that. As Uzziah the son of Ahab began to reign over Yashar in Samaria, the 17th year of Jehoshaphat, Malik of Yehuda, and reigned 2 years over Yashar. And he did evil in the sight of Yahuwah, and walked in the way of his father, and in the way of his mother being Jezebel, and in the way of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who made Yashar to sin. He served Baal and worshipped him, and provoked to anger Yahuwah Elohim of Yashar, and done all that his father had done. Now we ain't got to Ahab yet, but when we get to Ahab, you're going to see all the things that he done. And his son did the same thing. And you see and notice that it mentioned Jeroboam. You notice it mentioned that he did the works of Ahab, and we're going to look at the works of Ahab, y'all willing. And you seen Jezebel, and guess what Jezebel did? Jezebel was an idol worshiper. She was a heathen. She killed the prophets of Yahuwah. So we have to examine all of these things, so where you see what was going on and the relevance of these splits, and then sit back and see that when you walk in righteousness, what you think somebody on the other side of the coin going to do? Jezebel hated the prophets of Yah. She wanted to kill them, so she did it. So you think because somebody say, I'm of Yashar, I believe in Yah, I believe in Yahushua, that if they not wicked, that they not going to kill you too? Yeah, I know we think they ain't going to do it. Verse 1 of 2 Kings chapter 1. Then Moab rebelled against Yashar after the death of Ahab. And Ahaziah fell down through a lattice in his upper chamber that was in Samaria, and was sick. And he sent messengers and said unto them, Go inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover of this disease. But the Malik of Yahuwah said to Elijah the Tishbite, Arise and go to meet the messengers of the Malik of Samaria, and say unto them, Is it not because there's not an Elohim in Yashar that you go to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Now therefore thus saith Yahuwah, Thou shalt not come down from that bed on which thou art gone up, but shalt surely die. And Elijah departed. Now, we're not going to read everything that proclaimed from that, but when the messengers came up to death, y'all familiar with the word, Elijah called for fire to come down from Shamahim to kill all of these people. When they stepped to him. We'll read one just because I feel lucky. Verse 5, And when the messengers turned back unto him, and said unto them, Why are you now turned back? They said unto him, There came up a man up to meet us, and said unto us, Go, turn again unto the Malik that sent you, and say unto him, Thus saith Yahuwah, Is it not because there is not an Elohim in Yashar that thou send to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Therefore thou shalt not come down from that bed which thou art gone up, but thou shalt surely die. And he said unto them, What manner of man was he which came up to meet you and told you these words? And they answered him, He was a hairy man, and girt with the girdle of leather about his loins. And he said, It is Elijah the Tishbite. Then the Malik sent unto him a captain of 50 with his 50. And went near to him, and behold, he sat on the top of a hill. And he spake unto him, Thou man of Elohim, the Malik hath said, Come down. Elijah answered and said to the captain of the 50, If I be a man of Elohim, then let fire come down from Shamahim and consume thee and thy 50. And there came down fire from Shamahim and consumed him and his 50. And then they went on down to that, and then the last dude sat back and said, You know what? Please have mercy on us and let our lives be precious in your sight. And they were spared. Let's drop down to verse 16 right here. See, this is why idol worship don't pay. And see, that's what a lot of people sit back and do. They're going to go and inquire of another god. Inquire of idolaters who serve other gods, of what's going to happen to them. He said, look at the question that Yah asked. Is there not an Elohim in Yashar that you got to go? You got to remember, the scribes and Pharisees said Beelzebub was the ruler of the unclean ruachs. And this is who the king of Yashar wants to inquire if he going to beat a disease or not. This is who he going to inquire of. Think about that. The scribe said that the master was casting out devils by Beelzebub, the prince of devils, the ruler of unclean spirits. They were saying that this man was casting things out by Hashatan, the devil himself. And for all intents and purposes, Azaziah, that's who he went to inquire of. And when we sit back and we look at it and we seek to serve our flesh and we inquire of sinners and we inquire whether they claim to be in the word or not, we doing just like what the book say, you are of your father the devil, the lust of your father you will do. You are inquiring of the devil. And you think because you putting your name on it that make it better? You blaspheming the man's name with that crap. Don't even care. But you know, people gonna do what they want to do. It is what it is. Verse 17 though, because we don't even gonna read the same. Say, so he died according to the word of Yahuwah which Elijah has spoken, and Jehoram reigned in his stead in the second year. Jehoram the son of Jehoshaphat Malach of Yehuda, because he had no son. Now the rest of the acts of Ahaziah which he did, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the malice of Yashar? Now let's look at 1 John chapter 5 and verse 17. Because this idolatrous worship that went on with the kings of Yasharal are important. It's important to understand. It's important to understand the ramifications of it. It's important to understand that Yahuwah hates it. Because he told you that in Jeremiah. This is the thing that he hates. He just told you it was a cursed thing in the law. So we don't need to have any idols in our heart and in our bodies, in our minds. Because now we're cursed. Because idols are a dead thing. Therefore you are a dead thing. This man put his own mama down from being Malkah because of her idolatrous worship. Why are we not putting down people from around us who are worshiping idols? And we say the King of Kings dwells in us. That we no longer live, but Hamashiach lives in us by the faith that we have in him. And the Maliks that were before him that were righteous removed the idols and the sodomites and the sinners out of the land. Why are we not doing the same thing and separating ourselves from these influences? Because that was the purpose of putting them down, was to separate ourselves from them influences. Because the influence of the groves and the idols and the trees were causing the people to stumble. Somebody had to stand up and say this was wrong and remove it. First John 5 and 17. Oh, yeah, 5 and 16 is cool, man. Well, 5 and 17. All unrighteousness is sin, and there is a sin not unto death. We know that whosoever is born of Elohim sin not, but he that is begotten of Elohim keep himself, and that wicked one touch him not. And that's why you see Elijah didn't get touched. And we know that we are of Elohim, and the whole world lie in wickedness. And we know that the Son of Elohim is coming and have given us an understanding that we may know him that is true. And we are in him that is true. Even his son Yahushua HaMashiach. This is the true Elohim and eternal life. Little children, keep yourselves from idols. Amen. So, if you know the living Elohim and you've got an understanding, he's telling you to abstain yourself from idols. And we went through all that just to see why. Back to 1 Kings chapter 15 though. We looked at all of that just to see why you need to keep yourself from idols. Because if you don't keep yourself from idols, then you're susceptible to the wicked one, because that's whom you're serving. Because you're serving lawlessness. Remember Romans 6 and 16. To whomever you yield your servants, your members to, is to whom you obey. If you set up idols in your heart and you serve your flesh and you serve people and you serve your desires and you serve the world, then that has become your God. That is your idol, and that is who you will obey. See, I told you, man, a lot of you think you're straight because you ain't got no crosses on around your neck and in your house, and Caesar Borgia gone, or you ain't around here talking about Allahu Akbar, kissing rocks and all this other stuff, and you feel like you ain't worshiping idols. But you worship an idol every day because you worship your own will. You worship your own will. He said that God is their belly. They mind earthly things. If Yahuwah is your Elohim, let me show you something. John chapter 8. Just something that the master said. That's all. John chapter 8. John chapter 8, verse 42. Just something that the master said. Just listen to what he said. Yahushua said unto them, if Elohim were your father, you would love me, because I proceed forth and came from Elohim, neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Knowing that the master came from Shamahim to dwell on earth with men. Now let's look at Colossians chapter 3 and verse 1. Knowing this here and then putting this with this Colossians, we would understand that if Yahuwah is our Elohim, then we will serve the things that are on high, and we would mind things that are in Shamahim, things that are of the Ruach, and not the things of this life, not the things of this flesh. That wouldn't be your number one root and cause. Because see, we'll try to find a way to put these cares and affairs and the things of this life before this word. We try to fit our own will in, no matter how we can get it in. And we feel like we justified for it, because the first thing we look at it is, it's my life and I want to enjoy my life. Hey, you can feel that way, but you might lose your life in the process if you're not careful in that type of mentality. Because if you got a mentality that you want to fit what you want to do in and make this man word fit around your life, that's a dangerous mentality. This is the bottom line. That's a dangerous thought process. A thought process that everybody got to sit back and ask themselves, am I thinking this way? And if I'm thinking this way, I need to change it. Because we should not be living to fit our lives around the word. The word should be fitting us. You know what I'm saying? We should be fitting up with the word. Not trying to bend and move so we can get our will in and be halfway trying to keep his will, when in actuality you're not trying to do his will, you're trying to do your own will and make yourself feel better in the midst of it. We can't serve this man like that. That's lukewarm service. That's halfway service. That's selfishness. You a lover of yourself. You only care about yourself and what you want and what you can do. Hamashiach didn't complain one time about if he had to live or die. You didn't hear the man say nothing about, I don't want to die. I don't want to live. Even at the nervous, even when it came down to the end, he didn't say I didn't want to do it. He asked. He made a petition if it was possible. He didn't say I don't want to do it. He asked, Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass. He said, but nevertheless, that's what he did. He asked, if it's possible, could you please stop it if it's possible? He asked. We go to this man making demands. Demands. I don't want that. You need to do this for me. Don't worry, I don't care if you're not going to do it, because I'm going to do this here anyway. That is wicked. You're an idol worshiper. You lawless. There's nothing to restrain you or refrain you. Doesn't matter that you don't eat no pork or keep a Sabbath or know his name. Colossians 3 and 1. If you then be risen with Mashiach, seek those things which are above, where Mashiach sit on the right hand of Elohim. Set your affections on the things above, not on the things on the racks. For you are dead, and your life is hid with Mashiach and Elohim. You understand something? When he tell you your life is hid, your sins are hid. Your past transgressions are hid. Your life is hid with this man. If you can take that when you came out of that water, that now you're setting your things that are on high. What are the things that are on high? Joy, peace, shalom, faith, long suffering, mercy, gentleness, goodness. You know what I'm saying? The things that are encapsulated in the kingdom, the promises of Elohim, everything that is of Elohim rests in Shamahim, and that's where you're supposed to set your mind at. People like to throw this term at people. You so don't be so heavenly minded, you know earthly good. That is wicked. That's wicked. A nigga is telling you to do opposite of what the books say, to make them feel better about being carnal. They're telling you, we just read right here, this book told you clear as day to set your affection on the things above and not the things on the earth. So how can somebody be too heavenly minded? That's retarded. That means they would have looked at Hamashiach and told him that. His mind was set on the things on high, not the things on the earth. That's how dumb niggas is, and niggas repeat it, and people feel bad about it, because, oh, I can't be too heavenly minded. I ain't going to be, how if you heavenly minded, of course you're going to be good. So I'm going to show you why you ain't going to be good to nobody on the earth. Hold on. Let me read this verse. Matter of fact, let me read this verse, folks. Get you John chapter 3. When Mashiach, who is our life, shall appear, then you shall also appear within them esteem. Well, let me read verse 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil conspicuous, and covetousness, which is idolatry. For which things sake the wrath of Elohim come on the children of disobedience, in the which ye also walked sometime when you lived in them. We all know that didn't occur. Let us keep it going though, before we get this John chapter 3. He said, but now you also put up all of these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing that you have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in the knowledge of after the image of him that created him. So if you put on the new man, which is made new in the image of the person who created him, and the person who created him is a ruach, and that he seeks those to serve him, and ruach and in truth, because these are the type of people that he seeks to serve him, and that he sits in Shamahim, then your mind is supposed to be heavenly. That is the dumbest thing that anybody can say out of their mouth, and niggas say that to make you be carnal with them. Bottom line. But let's look at John chapter 3. Because that means the book tells you got to be born again. If you got to be born again, and not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible seed, of that of the Mashiach, then of course you got to. The book tells you, let this mind be in you. The same mind that was in Yahushua HaMashiach, his mind was in Shamahim, not on their rest, because his mind was on doing the will of his Father, not his own will. Because if you do your own will, you mind earthly things. That's dumb. If a nigga tell you that, you need to get away from a nigga like that. That nigga is wicked. That nigga mind is not right. His mind is bad. Period. John chapter 3. John chapter 3. Where's that where he told it, man? That one came from. There it is. John chapter 3, verse 10. John chapter 3, verse 9. John 3 and 9. That man say that which you're born of Ruach is a Ruach, and that which you're born of the flesh is flesh. You're born of the Ruach, you're born of the things in Shamahim. That what you want, that what you, how everybody say they want to go to heaven, but nobody don't want to have no heavenly mind. That's dumb. That's just stupid. When a nigga tell you too heavenly minded, they telling you got too much of the mind of Yah. Ain't that what we supposed to have? Ain't that what the desire is? Ain't that what the goal is? Nicodemus answered and said unto him, how can these things be? Yahushua answered and said unto him, art thou a master in Yashar, and know not these things? Truly I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify that we have seen, and you receive not our witness. If I told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things? That's why niggas tell you don't believe the things that's of the earth and natural things. So of course you're going to tell somebody they too heavenly minded to be any earthly good, because you don't believe the things that come from on high. And that's what happened with your ancestors with these worshiping idols. They didn't believe none of this stuff that y'all said. He gave you the Torah. The Torah came straight from Shamahim. It was wrote by the finger of Elohim on 2 tables of stone. He showed them the things from Shamahim. They still didn't believe it. Godly. Come on back to 1 Kings chapter 15. Man. We don't need Ezekiel 14 no more. Man, this junk here crazy. Praise y'all for salvation and for the word and for understanding. This junk here crazy. People just say stuff just to say it. And every time people say stuff, it's to make you feel bad about doing what's right. Speaking what's right. Standing for what's right. That's what niggas own. That's what niggas own. Don't be right. Don't separate. That's why Peter told you, man, he say they sit back and they make mockery of you when you don't run to the same excess or riot. Let's get that real fast. 1 Peter chapter 4. Let's just get that real fast. Y'all don't even sit back and realize that. You tell your sinner friends and sinner family members and wicked Israelites you don't want to do this here, they want to mock you. 1 Peter 4 and 2. We'll read verse 1 just for that simple fact. That man say, arm yourself with the same mind. He say, for as much then as Mashiach has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourself likewise with the same mind. For he that suffered in the flesh has ceased from sin. So therefore, if you suffered in the flesh, just like we read in Colossians, then you would have mortified your members, and your mind, your affections would be on the things set on high, like it's supposed to be. He say, he that warreth don't entangleth himself with the cares and affairs of this life, that he may please him that have called him to be a soldier. We already know it say the cares and affairs of this life choke off the word that it don't bring forth no fruit. So that's sitting here telling you, shoot, you better be heavenly minded. You want to be saved. That he should no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of Elohim. For the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles, when we have walked in lasciviousness, lusts, excess of wine, revilings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries, wherein they think it strange that you run not with them to the same excess of riot, speaking evil of you. See, they think it's something wrong with you. You weird now. You don't want to come do what we do. See, they think, he ain't no earthly good. He's so heavenly minded, he ain't no earthly good. That nigga think he better than us. That's the first thing a wicked nigga do. If they want to scream, they think you better than you. They try to make you feel like you cocky or you're arrogant or you look down on people. You know when somebody look down on people because they pretty much say it. People who think they better than somebody, it's not just an attitude that they give off. They utter that out their mouth. Most of the time when people always try to, if you don't utter out your mouth or carry yourself in a fashion that you better than people, people feel that way about you because you doing something that they won't do or can't do. So therefore they have to belittle you or damage your reputation in the eyesight of others to make themselves feel better about their own shortcomings, instead of being a man or woman and handling that and correcting that and walking accordingly and doing what they got to do. Because they ain't good enough. They do it to elite athletes. Oh, he think he better. That man is better than you. But he's not better than you inherently because he's better than you. He's better than you because he put in the work. You know what I'm saying? He put in that work. He in the gym every day lifting. He on the field every day throwing. He in the film room. He on the court shooting jumpers. He stayed practicing his I can't forget. He stayed practicing his serve and his volleys. His backhands. He stayed training. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no days off. People wonder, how's that man business so successful? Because he grinding every day. He working on his business constantly. While you slobbing and sleeping and playing, you know what I'm saying, and partying and drinking and doing this here, he working. He working. See, that's the whole key thing about it. We want success, but nobody don't want to have it. Don't have the work ethic and don't want to put in the work to have the success, to go through the pitfalls and the sufferings and the tribulations and the trouble to be successful on the other end. Don't nobody want to put in the work. We want to do the work on our time when it's convenient instead of being wholly obsessed with it. If you're going to be successful in anything in your life, you got to be obsessed with it. Obsessed with it to the point people on the outside think you crazy, because you dedicated your whole heart, your whole mind, and your whole soul to the achievement of an objective, which is what the man told you to do with forth is loving him. He wants you to be obsessed with him. That's why he say he trusts in you whose mind is stayed on thee, because you would be obsessed with him. And then in that case, you'll be diligent in your labor towards him. You'll be grinding constantly and consistently and fervently to the achieving of your objective. But we don't want to grind that way, because that's going to require sacrifice. That's going to require you not being able to do the things that you want to do when you want to do them. And so we'll just sit there and we'll look for a shortcut, or we halfway do it and we get halfway results because of halfway dedication, halfway labor, and halfway execution. And we can't serve y'all like that. First Kings 15. Where we at? By verse 32. Yeah, we're in by verse 32. And we're going to look at a little bit of that in a moment. It's just going to be looking at Asa and Baasha, really. But we had to set that stage. There was war between Asa and Baasha, Malach of Yashar, all their days. That's what it was. Now we're going to look at the meaning of these two men's name. Mr. Asa and Mr. Baasha here. I can't remember what Asa's name means. I remember what Baasha's name means, but we're just going to wait for a moment before we pull it out. Asa's name means healer. That's what his name means. His name means healer, and Baasha's name means wicked. So you got the healer going against the wicked. Ain't that something? Now let's look at something. Luke chapter 15, I suppose. The healer and the wicked are consistently going to war. So that means one person is seeking to destroy and the other person is seeking to bind up and heal. And they have a problem with one another. Again, this is reiterating what I always tell y'all what the law say. And I guess tonight we'll hear what the law say when it comes to that. Let's look at Luke 15:1. That ain't the one that I want though. It might be in Luke chapter 5, what I desire. With that exact word. Give me a second. We might not use Luke 15. Yeah, Luke chapter 5, verse 27. Matter of fact, Luke chapter 5, verse 21. Or 20. Luke chapter 5, verse 20. This is what a master healing a man of palsy here. It says, and when he saw their faith, he said unto them, man, thy sins are forgiven thee. The scribes and the Pharisees began to reason, saying, who is this which speak blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but Elohim only? Now we know the people that he was dealing with were wicked. I say now, it's used as a generalized statement with the scribes and Pharisees. You know what I'm saying? Being wicked. Like as if all of them were wicked. But we didn't sit back where you could see that. But Nicodemus was a Pharisee. Clearly he wasn't wicked because he was a follower of Mashiach. Come to Psalms 32 though. But what we go sit back and look at is, again, I told you see the parallels. Hamashiach is the healer. He's Asa, the Malach of Yehuda. The scribes and Pharisees of Baasha, they wicked and they had wars. They had battles. And we're looking at one of those battles right now. Psalms 32 and verse 2. Or verse 1 actually. He said, Baruch is he whose transgressions is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Because remember, he said your life is hid with Mashiach. If you be risen with him, your sins are covered. They hid in it. He said, Baruch is the man unto whom Yahuwah impute not iniquity, and whose ruach there is no guile. Go back to Luke chapter 5. It wasn't nothing that this man of the palsy did to be healed. That is grace. That is a free gift. Nothing that he did to acquire the gift. Not a pace of time. Stop thinking like a Caucasian. Caucasians tell you we got a grace period on your bill. So then when we see grace in the book in English, that's the automatic thing that you perceive. I got time. I got time. No. Who told you that? Because your Elohim never told you that. Your master never told you that. That you got time. You don't have time. Your life is but a vapor. He told you that it's evil boasting on your part for you to talk about what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're going to do next week, what you're going to do 3 weeks from now. He says it's better if Yahuwah will, if the master will. That's what you say out your mouth. You better say, if y'all will, I got time to get it right. Because you're supposed to get it right today. And if you get to the next day, you got to get it right the next day. And so on and so forth. Because you don't know what tomorrow going to bring. That's why the master told you to take considering of the day, because tomorrow is the evil thereof. You could be here today and gone tomorrow. Straight like that. And if you ain't right because you think you got time, you going to hell. Because you thought you had time. Because you thought you had a grace period. I dare one of you to go in the text and show this man talking about a grace period. You got time. He said the long suffering of the master is that all may come to repentance. That he suffer your deeds. Not that you got a great period to get it right. He give people space because he don't want to kill everybody. Got to consider that. And the scribes and Pharisees began to reason. I'm sorry, I read it already. Verse 22, Luke chapter 5. But when Yahushua perceived their thoughts, he answering said unto them, what reason ye in your hearts? Whether it is easier to say, thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, rise up and walk. But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power upon their wrath to forgive sins. He said unto the sick of the palsy, I say unto thee, arise and take up thy couch and go into thine house. And immediately he rose up before them and took up that whereon he lay. and departed to his own house, esteeming Elohim. And they were all amazed, and they esteemed Elohim, and were filled with fear, saying, we have seen strange things today. You see, they had reverence and respect for Elohim after they seen that, and probably for Hamashiach. And after these things he went forth and saw a publican named Levi sitting at the receipt of custom, and he said unto him, follow me. And he left all and rose up and followed him. And Levi made him a great feast in his own house, and there was a great company of publicans, and others sat down with them. But their scribes and Pharisees murmured against his disciples, saying, why do you eat and drink with publicans and sinners? And Yahushua answering said unto them, they that are whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. I came not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. When we come back and we look at what Asa did, we see that Asa put the Sodomites out of the land, and he destroyed the idols, and he was seeking to heal the people by calling them to repentance, to return to their Elohim, where Baasha was trying to continue to strengthen these people in their sins. But then you see how the scribes and Pharisees, that they thought they were better, because they said, how does this man take sinners unto him? See, when you say I don't mess with sinners, or I'm not gonna, that's you just doing what the law say. Baruch is he that go not in the way of sinners. Not that you think that you're better than them, but that I don't participate in the activities that you participate in. Just what we read in 1 Peter chapter 4. I don't run to the same excess of riot. I don't participate in the revilings and the banquetings and the abominable idolatries. I don't think I'm better than you. I don't participate in what you do. That ain't got nothing to do with you per se. I don't do what you do. But also you have to be careful, because people do throw that in people's face when they tell people that they don't do certain things as if they're better than them because they don't do those things. And y'all know exactly what I mean. How people do that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody asks like, hey man, you smoke weed? I'm like, no, I don't smoke no weed. You know what I'm saying? With people I pick up all the time, they ask that. I dropped a dude off the other day. He's like, you want some weed? I got some weed for you, man. No, I don't want no weed, man. I'm good. I didn't say that I don't smoke weed. Well, he would have known that I looked down on him because he smoked weed. I don't look down on you because you smoke weed. I smoked it for 20 years. I just don't smoke it any longer. I don't think I'm any better than you because I don't smoke marijuana. I don't think I'm any better than somebody who's fornicating or committing adultery. I may be better than them in y'all's eyes, but I don't look at them that I'm better than you. Because that's what that scribe said, that Pharisee said in Luke 18. I'm glad I'm not as other men, an extortioner, and a publican. You know what I mean? This is what he was praying. This is how he went to Yah to pray. I'm glad I'm not wicked like these men, but you are. Who would even go pray to Yah and say something like, how does that thought process even come into your head? See, I could never sit back and think I'm better than anybody because I know the things that I had done previously of knowing the word. So how could I ever look at anybody and think I'm better than them? How? See, most people, I just seen my homegirl say this here, right? And this is why I know this here too. And I shared a picture, a little meme on it because it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Because confident people attract one another. That's just the reality of the situation. People are attracted to that because that's a sign of strength. My homegirl was like, she finds Puffy very attractive. And she was like, it wasn't up for debate. Some people were like, oh, he was ugly. And somebody broke it down. The confidence that he exhibits and the level of education and knowledge of which he has trumps what he looks like physically to them. Because that confidence and that vibe that man had, that attracts them. So as we mentioned before a couple weeks ago, when you are confident, people who are insecure, they perceive it as arrogance. They perceive it as conceit. You know what I'm saying? Because you're confident in who you are and what you're about. And most people who have confidence, it's a solid confidence. They don't have to walk around and tell people they're confident or I'm this, that, there, and the third. People can see it, that they're confident in themselves, and people are attracted to that. Because most people want that for themselves, so they want to know, why is this person so confident? What can they tell me to help me be confident within myself? Or they may be already confident, and they kind of that. That's why you see dudes be like, man, how this ugly nigga get all these girls and this? Because of his confidence. Because of his confidence. Most people are not confident in themselves. That's why they don't serve Yah with all their heart and all their soul, because they're not confident in him. When you confident in Yah, you can walk around like that. You're going to walk around like that. You know who you serve. You know what he's about. You know he's not a man that he should lie. You know he's not the son of man that he should repent, but that if he said it, he should do it. You know he's a keeper of his covenant and shows mercy to thousands of them that love him and keep his commandments. You know that this man is going to hold it down. So your confidence in him allows you to walk and operate in this fashion. So now when we sit back and we look at it, we got to sit back and look at Hamashiach is a healer and the scribes and Pharisees are wicked. And they have wars. Because we don't have time to sit back all of, because some of the stuff we didn't look at lately, like when he healed the woman of the issue of blood, or the feeding of the multitude. All the times the scribes came to battle this man, and all Hamashiach were trying to do was heal the people. That's all he was trying to do. See, let's go to get Genesis 3 and 15. Let's just do it like that. See, I don't know why y'all think wickedness and righteousness can never meet together in agreement in shalom. It can never happen. It can never happen. Asa and Baasha could never rock together and be one. Because Asa was trying to correct the people. You think the people liked him when he was getting them sodomite, getting them punks and them prostitutes out of the land? You think they were cool with that? You think they were happy when he was tearing the groves? Because you got to know when he was tearing them groves down that these people had to be getting rebuked for it. He didn't sit back and say, it's okay. You know, you just, I give you time to get it right. You've been taking it in the butt. And you've been tricking. Tricking at the temple. No, he got them niggas up out of here. And you know exactly what it means when he say he got him up out of there. He killed them. Because you already knew you ain't had no business being no punk. You already knew you ain't had no business tricking at the temple. You already knew you ain't had no business doing none of that. And the people lucky that y'all didn't send him to exterminate them and just to get rid of the groves and the idols out the land versus getting the people up out the land. See, that was mercy right there. That was long suffering right there. We don't consider that. You see people put a little tally up how many people Satan killed and how many people y'all killed. Well, y'all killed every last one of them niggas and they all ought to die, because ain't none of them die without cause. None of them. Y'all bust you upside your head for sin, it ain't without cause. Because if he busting you upside your head, either busting you upside your head so you can be around here chastised, so you can become a son of Elohim, or he busting you upside your head for some wickedness you doing. Either way it goes is just. It all just depends. And you better not be mad at either one. Because a living man ain't got no business complaining for the punishment of his sins. And if he chastising you and scourging you, you better endure it so you can be received as a son, so you can enter into your esteem. Either way it go, y'all just. Who got a problem with it? Who got a problem with it? Seems like the whole world got a problem with it. I say screw them and feed them donuts. Don't nobody care. Take it up with them when you're in front of the throne. 3 and 15. Genesis. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. There will be hatred. And there was hatred between Asa and Baasha. They warred consistently and constantly. And we're going to look at a little bit of their wars. And we're going to sit back and see the difference of the spiritual connotation and the revelance and parallels of that. Come on back to 1 Kings chapter 16, I should say. I didn't want you to sit back and consider, man, I can't make y'all do nothing. You know what I'm saying? I can't make nobody do nothing. I'm not responsible for what none of y'all do. If one of y'all go commit fornication tomorrow, I'm not responsible for that. Not if you had already been warned and been taught that that's wrong. I'm not responsible for that. I'm not responsible for nothing you do. You're responsible for your own actions. And you're going to have to be able to stand up and take the consequences and repercussions for your own actions. Because I can only be responsible for myself and what I say and what I do. I'm not responsible for what you say and do. And if you do something and you already know it was wrong, then you ought to burn in hell for it, because you a rebel. You know the book say he can't get nothing with Kadesh on the dogs. He can't get nothing set apart to no rebel. He can't do it. I don't feel sorry for a nigga who do something and they already knew it was wrong and it's a sin unto death. You won't get no sympathy from me. You stupid. You know what I'm saying? You deserve whatever he give you. You know what I'm talking about? If you doing it in the beginning, you ain't really got yourself strengthened up, you don't really know no better, you might get a little sympathy for me. But you been doing, like I told y'all today, man, you got 2-3 years in this here, man, and you still struggling with the same stuff, man, nigga, please, you just don't want to do it. Let's just be honest. You just don't want to do it. I tell y'all right now, man, y'all, if you ain't married and you've been doing it 2-3 years and you still got to struggle with your vagina and penis, you just need to go ahead and just give it up, man, because there's something wrong with you. You should have been conquered that, because you know that was your biggest flaw. And getting married is not going to kill the lust. You know what I'm saying? See, that's what we think going to kill the lust. If it's something that you can't do, but if you can do it and it be lawful, then you think, okay, if I do this here, then I'll be straight. No, you didn't kill the root of the matter. Getting married don't kill lust. That lust is still there. You're just going to seek to satiate and satisfy that lust on something else, because you never dealt with it. And that be our problem. We got issue, you don't deal with it. You push them up under the rug. You dig a hole and you bury it in the ground, and it resurrects itself because you never dealt with it. I told y'all, man, I seen a post the other day. It was very, very disturbing. Lady asked, asked the sisters how old were they when men started hitting on them. And the answers that these women gave was so saddening. To see a woman say, I was molested at 5, had a 60-year-old man holler at me at 8, and raped at 11. Do you know what I'm saying? People talking about they being touched at 4 years old, 11 years old, 40-year-old men trying to holler at them. You know what I'm saying? Grown men just doing all these type of things to these young women. And that these women get, and boys, because there was some men answered in, rung into how they had been touched. You know what I'm talking about? All of these people being touched by adults, family members, mama's boyfriends, mama's girlfriends, uncles, all this type of stuff. You know what I'm talking about? All this here. Stepdaddies, stepmamas, all the type of stuff molesting all these children. You know what I'm talking about? And all these people grew up as adults, and because they didn't deal with the matter at hand, it ruined every relationship that they ever had, whether it was with the opposite sex or with friends. It ruined every relationship that they ever had because they never dealt with that issue. They just hoped it would go away. And that's what we do with sin. We just hope it'll go away, or we try to be promiscuous or use drugs or use alcohol or use anything that's going to cover up that lust, that's going to cover up that desire, instead of actually dealing with what's hurting you so you can move past it. Now I'm going to just tell y'all, for me, I ain't seen my daddy for 23 years. There wasn't really nothing for me to really deal on that because I didn't really care. As I got older, you was like, dang, man, it would have been nice for him to be around, but I never sat around in my youth and been like I was repressing it. Oh man, I wish my daddy was here to watch me do this or watch me do that. And I know for some people it do, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that I'm any better than anybody. It didn't affect me. It didn't bother me. I didn't think about it. I was so concerned about Lil Muffin, I didn't care about none of that. You know what I'm saying? As I got older, I sat back and looked at it. I wasn't mad with him. I wasn't bitter with him. You know what I'm saying? When I spoke to him a couple times when I was incarcerated, it wasn't no beef. I was talking to him like I had just seen him the day before. You know what I'm saying? When he saw my brother come holler at me to say, hey man, come see me because I think I'm finna die soon. This, that, and the third. I listen. It wasn't none of that. Cause it's still, I wasn't harboring around, walking around. Especially, it's been 23 years, nigga. You gonna have to let that go. See, that be the problem with a lot of stuff. You feel like somebody done did you wrong, this, that, and the third, and you walking around with this stuff for 10, 15. Nigga, let it go. You're grown now. It's over with. Let it go. See, we don't like to let stuff go. Let it go. Let the weight go. Forgive them. Move on. Think about it. Dealing with it. Dwelling on it. Ain't doing nothing but being detrimental to you. If a nigga cross me, all I'm going to sit back and look at, it's sad that I can't fool with you no more in this capacity, and that's the end of it. I got to let you go. That's it. It's no bigger than that. It is what it is. I don't want to do it, but that's what got to be done. I can't fool with you no more. It's not that big of a deal. It's going to hurt for a little bit. You'll get over it. You'll get over it. You know what I'm saying? We don't get over stuff. We don't deal with the root of stuff. If we deal with the root of stuff, we'll be further along as a people, as individuals. It's in the same token that white America don't want black people to discuss what our pain is and the effective states displays that we need to do to correct it, they tell us to forget about it and don't talk about it no more because it makes them uncomfortable. It makes them uncomfortable. So they don't want us to discuss these things. But we know the only way for a situation to be healed is the things that have caused the pain between the two parties have to be discussed so that they can be rectified so that you can move forward and the healing can be done. If the things are not discussed so they can be rectified, then the healing can never begin. It can never begin. You know what I'm saying? It can never begin. Individuals have to look in themselves and have conversations. See, I had conversations with myself. That's why a lot of that stuff, as I got older, it didn't affect me. I can't allow this stuff to affect me. This is life. Everybody in life ain't on your side. Everybody in life don't love you. You know what I'm saying? My homegirl told me when we were young, she always was stressing me that if you mess with a woman, she's like, she got to be on your team like I'm on your team. If she's not on your team, don't fool with her. She stressed this to me every single day that any woman I dealt with had to be down with me like she was. And that they had to be on my team like she was. And not just in word, but she would manifesting that in her behavior. That's going to resonate with me that if I don't think you on my team, I don't really want to fool with you like that. It's for being with you and riding with you like that because you're going to sink the ship. And even in the best of, someone can sit back and look at it. You know this person may not be on your team, but you still fooling with them a little longer than you should. Everybody falls victim to it. Till reality slap you in your face and say, man, you know you can't do that. You know you can't do that. And that's how we have to sit back and look at everything and every process that we do. We need to stop trying to cover up the things that are negative in us with whatever we think will cover that up. And now I won't go to hell for it because you're still going to go to hell for it because it's in your heart. That man say it's not that defiles you, that comes within, it's what comes without. So if that stuff is still in your heart, it is defiling you. Getting married won't cover your lust up. That's not going to cover that lust up. That lust is still there. That means that lust could lead to adultery. That lust could lead to whoremongering. You got some people, they know they got homosexual tendencies, whether they be male or female in their heart, and they get married to the opposite sex, thinking that's going to cover up those latent homosexual impulses, and then their spouse come home and find their wife in the bed with another woman. Find a husband in the bed with another man. Because that marriage didn't cover up that lust, it didn't cover up that perverse desire. It didn't do it. It didn't do it. It didn't do it. It was still there because they never dealt with it. And whatever it is that's inside of you that's going to take you contrary to the word, if you don't deal with it, it will stay there and it will carry you to hell. That man say, lay the weight and the sin aside that easily beset us and let us run the race with patience. You got to lay that stuff to the side. But you're going to have to look in the mirror and see things that you don't want to see. That's what we don't want to do. When we lift that word up, the book said the word is like a man beholding his face in a natural glass. And you see the things in that glass, you don't want to see it, so you like to put that glass down. Or you like somebody to put up a glass that's murky and cloudy. So you can't really see the flaws and the defects in your face, the boogers in your nose, the crust on your lip. You know what I'm talking about? The bacteria on your tongue because you ain't brushed your teeth yet. The coal in your eye. Your hair nappy because you ain't combed it and brushed it yet. You look a hot mess. But you can't see that when the mirror cloudy. You can't see it. You don't want nobody to come bring that Windex and clean that mirror up and make it clear. Then you see, whoa, I need to wash my face. I need to make me clean and cease from doing evil from before this man's eyes. You want somebody to tell you it's okay. And it's not okay. It's never okay to be defiled inwardly. It's never okay to be wicked. It's never okay to commit sin. It's never okay to be a sinner. It's never okay to be an idolater. It is never okay to do your own will and not the will of Yahuwah. It is never okay. Never. I don't care what nobody tell you. It's never okay. 1 Kings 15 and 33. In the third year of Asa, king of Yehuda, began Baasha the son of Ahiah to reign over all Yashar and Tirzah 24 years. And he did evil in the sight of Yahuwah and walked in the way of Jeroboam and in his sin wherewith he made Yashar to sin. So there we go again. What do we see with old Baasha? Every single solitary one of these niggas love love to walk in the way of Jeroboam. Oh, Jeroboam, Jeroboam, Jeroboam. Everybody seems to love Jeroboam. Why does everybody love Jeroboam? Because Jeroboam lets you do what you want to do. That's why they love Jeroboam. Continuing in chapter 16, and you could get you 2 Chronicles chapter 14. I think most of that story will be duplicated, but we'll look at it anyway. The word of Yahuwah came to Jehu the son of Hanani against Baasha, saying, Forasmuch as I exalted thee out of the dust, and made thee prince over my people Yashar, that has walked in the way of Jeroboam, and has made my people Yashar to sin, to provoke me to anger with their sins. Behold, I will take away the posterity of Baasha and the posterity of his house, and I will make thy house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat. He killed all of his sons. This is what he telling them. Him that died in Baasha in the city shall the dogs eat. Him that died of his in the field shall the fowls of the air eat. Now the rest of the acts of Baasha and what he did and his might, are they not written in the books of the Chronicles of Kings of Yashar? So Baasha slept with his fathers and was buried in Tirzah, and Elah his son reigned in his stead. And also by the hand of the prophet Jehu the son of Hanani came the word of Yahuwah against Baasha and against his house, even for all the evil that he did in the sight of Yahuwah, and provoke him into anger with the work of his hands, and being like the house of Jeroboam, and because he killed him. You got to, and see, that's the part we didn't read. Let's go around there, because he did kill this man. So let's go ahead and look at that, because he definitely did kill this man. What it is, what we want right here, man. 1 Kings chapter 14. First Kings chapter 14. What do we want? No, that's not where it's at. It's not in this chapter. We'll come back to it. We got to what time it is. 10:36. Come on to 2 Chronicles 14. Same Chronicle 14. Some of the stuff going to be duplicated, so some of it we going to bounce around because we done already looked at it. But we're going to look at what the reform or the healing that Asa committed, because chapter 14 is kind of going to repeat what we've already looked at in Kings. So it says, So Abijah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David, and Asa his son reigned in his stead, and in his days the land was quiet 10 years. Asa did that which was good and right in the eyes of Yahuwah his Elohim, for he took away the altars of the strange gods in the high places, and brake down the images, and cut down the groves, and commanded Yehudah to seek Yahuwah their Elohim of their fathers, and to do the law and the commandment. Pause. Now let's look at Luke chapter 11, and let's look at Hamashiach commanding Yehudah to seek their Elohim and to obey. See, the scribes and the Pharisees were teaching you to seek after traditions. Luke 11:5. Traditions and your desires to keep you wicked and to keep you in bondage. Because as how we already looked at, that Baasha was trying to keep the people fenced in, to keep them from coming to Jerusalem. They were trying to keep them out of the kingdom because they were not trying to enter in themselves. So you have to pay attention to those type of things. You know, Asa was trying to get the people to return, to cause the people to be healed, which is exactly what Yahushua was trying to do. He was trying to heal the people. And what was the heal that he was trying to heal? He was trying to heal you from the wound of death by removing sin from your mortal bodies if you believed on his name. And he said unto them, Which of you shall have a friend and shall go unto him at midnight and say unto him, Friend, lend me 3 loaves? For a friend of mine in his journey has come to me, and I have nothing to set before him. And he from within shall answer and say, Trouble me not, the door is now shut. My children are with me in bed. I cannot rise and give thee. He say unto you, Though he will not rise and give him, because he is his friend, yet because of his importunity, he will rise and give him as many as he need. And I say unto you, Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that ask, receive, and he that seek, find. And to him that knock, it shall be opened. If a son shall ask bread of any of you that is a father, will he give him a stone? Or if he ask a fish, will he for a fish give him a serpent? Or if he shall ask an egg, will he offer him a scorpion? If thou being evil know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father in Shamahim give the Ruach HaKodesh to them that ask him? Now the only way that you can be able to receive this gift, and you can come back to Second Chronicles 14, is that you have to seek him. He told you, seek thee the kingdom of Elohim, and all these things will be added unto you. Seek out the book of Yahuwah and read. Baruch is he that read, hear, and do the words of the prophecy of this book. He said, those that seek me shall find me early. So if you seek it, and that goes back to what I was talking about, being obsessed and diligent in your labor, grinding and working and moving towards the objective of success and whatever it is that you seek to do. In this case, it's the salvation of your soul. And you have to seek to your Elohim. And this is what the healer was moving the people to do. And as we seen what the master was telling you, this was what he was instructing you to do, was to seek. Seek out your Elohim. Seek his face. In Psalm 27, he said, look at Psalm 27, what he told me. All right. Now let's look at Psalms 27 real fast. Psalms 27. Psalms 27 and 8. It says, when thou saidst, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Yahuwah, will I seek. Now the master just told you to seek that man's face. Now if he telling you to seek his face, will you seek it? Will you seek it? Knowing that when you seeking his face, you seeking everything that is in Elohim. And if you're seeking his face, you're seeking the things that are in Shamahim where he sits at. You're seeking the things that are in Shamahim where he sits at. So you're supposed to be seeking those things that are above, which means that you could believe things of Shamahim just like you could believe things that are of the earth. But people are not seeking his face because they don't believe earthly things. So they're not going to believe nor receive the things that come from on high. And this is why niggas are stagnated. Because they don't really believe in heavenly things. It manifests in their behavior. It manifests in their level of faith that they execute amongst men. Nevertheless, 2 Chronicles 14. Verse 5. And he said, he took away out of the cities of Yehudah the high places and the images, and the kingdom was quiet before him. And he built fenced cities in Yehudah, for the land had rest. And he had no war in those years, because Yahuwah had given him rest. And why did Yahuwah give him rest? Because sit back and look at it, right? You know him and Baasha were warned. But the reason why he had rest, because he said when a man ways pleases Yah, even he calls his enemies to be shalom with him. When your ways please Yah, then he will cause death to be at peace with you. Let's see how. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. If you walk in the way of Mashiach, then those ways can please Elohim, and he can make your enemy be at peace with you. Because we know that Hebrews chapter 2 say that he came to destroy the devil who had power over death, or to destroy death, and him who had power over death, that is the devil. Why? Because Yahushua, he said, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Even in the midst of his enemies, even though his enemies gave him up, they knew who he was. But now we're looking at it on a spiritual level, that when your ways please Yahuwah, he causes death to be at peace with you. You have to look at that because you were down with the healer. You got to be down with the healer because of his ways seeking after Yahuwah and to call the people to return. He caused the wars to stop for this man. He caused rest to come. After we read this 1 Corinthians 15, Matthew chapter 11. 1 Corinthians 15 about verse 22 I should say. For as in Adam all die, even so in Mashiach shall all be made alive. But every man in his own order. Mashiach the first fruits, and afterwards they that are Mashiach's at his coming. Then come the end, when he shall deliver up the kingdom to Elohim, even Abba, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. For he must reign till he have put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. We have put all things under his feet. But when he saith all things are put under him, it is manifest that he is expected which did put all things under him. And when all things shall be subdued unto him, then shall the Son also himself be subject unto him that put all things under him, that Elohim may be all in all. Now, how did Mashiach able to make death be at peace with him? It was because of his belief and obedience. So there was no wars, there was quietness, there was rest. He told you that. Let's look at Hebrews chapter 4 first. Because Asa had to believe and trust in Yah to take on such a large undertaking, knowing that he could possibly face opposition from the people. That did not deter him from the labor, though. See, that, and I think sometimes that's what stops us from doing a lot of things, whether it be spiritual or whether it be natural. It's opposition from people. You scared of the opposition from men, so it stops you from doing certain things. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? No, I would ride, because shoot. The date marked that at 3:30 p.m. at University Medical Center on the 30th day of June. That a son was born to Rosalind Renee Bonton and Anthony Ricky Ricardo Rogers. And as I began to grow, I could care less what anybody thought or said about me. And why did I care less about what anybody thought or said about me? Because in a small amount of time from age 0 to 12, my daddy taught me that. From the age of 0 to 19, my auntie taught me that before she left this earth. And from the time I was born to the very moment, because my mama is still alive, she taught me the same thing. And they all told me certain things that would occur in life, that anything that you do, that you're going to meet some level of opposition. And it may not be opposition from people. It could just be some manner of obstacle or difficulty that can arise. And whatever it is that you're doing, and that you have to persevere and have the wherewithal and the fortitude to overcome whatever obstacle come in your path, if whatever you're doing is what you say you want to do to get to the desired outcome of which you are working towards. And that you can't let no manner of opposition frustrate you or dictate your behavior to get you off of the goal and objective of what you say you seek to obtain. So what a nigga got to say about me, what a nigga say he'll do to me, whatever pops up, it means absolutely nothing, because the objective has to occur. There's certain things that I done sought to do in my life, and it seemed like walls kept coming up, so we only had one option: kick the wall down or climb over it. That's it. That's all that you can do. You either gonna kick it down, climb over it, or stand there crying like a sucker because there's something in your way. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't change the goal, you just change the plan. That's it. That's it. That's it. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't got to. It's certain people that they all I need. Do you know what I'm saying? And I felt like that when I was in the street. There were certain people around me. I had a lot of friends, but there were certain of them, just give me them two, I'm good. Do you know what I'm saying? It's no different now. It's no disrespect to nobody. Certain people, that's all I need. Just give me this nigga right here, and I'm good. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's always going to be like that. The master dealt with everybody. But you notice, them 11, yeah, I rocks with them, though. I sit back and I'll be honest with you. If you a man, before anything you look at it, your wife should be what you need. And vice versa. Your husband should be what you need. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, you're going to have a man you're going to ride with, just like Jonathan David. You know, these men had wives. See, I get it twisted. You're going to have a homeboy, and that's all you need. But, boy, your wife should be what you need if she on your team for you to ride. And your husband should be what you need if he on your team so you can ride. You should be able to know, I can ride with this nigga no matter what. You know what I'm saying? We know we can Bonnie and Clyde. This here, she ain't finna go out like no sucker. She going to ride with me till the wheel fall off, and we going to die together if need be. You know what I'm saying? And everybody don't have that, because everybody want to be friendly and kick it with everybody and think everybody down with them. Everybody ain't down with you. I don't care what they say they believe in or what they profess. Everybody ain't down with you. And you should have enough sense to know who down with you and who ain't. Who really down with you and who ain't. Because everybody don't love you and everybody don't care about you. Nevertheless, Hebrews chapter 4. Verse 6. Seeing therefore that it remained that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached entered not in because of unbelief. Again, he limited a certain day, saying in Dawood, today after so long time, as it is said, today, if you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. For if Yahushua had given them rest, then he would not have afterwards have spoken of another day. There remained therefore a rest to the people of Elohim, for he that is entered into his rest, he also has ceased from his own works, as Elohim did from his. Now what we were going to get in Matthew 11 was just simply where he said, come unto me all ye that labor, and I will give ye rest. He said his yoke is easy and his burden is light. Because it's easy to walk in the word. When he say burden, that's his responsibility. The task at hand is light. Niggas make it hard. Niggas make it hard because they wicked. Because you don't see, when he say his yoke is light, that means his instruction, his direction, all of that stuff is light. Only if you want to come unto him. See, if you still want to do what you want to do and live how you want to live, then of course that yoke is going to be grievous under you. Because you don't want to really do it. You didn't see the master say when that woman committed adultery, it's okay, my sister. You're just trying to get it right. I love you. No, he didn't do none of that. He said, look here, man. Go and sin no more, lest the worst thing come upon you. That's what he told her. He had already showed her the mercy and the long suffering and loving kindness by not letting them niggas stone her to death. So what else was there need to be said? I don't got to tell you nothing. I just showed you mercy because you know you supposed to die right now. But I say, no, I came to show you that you won't be killed for your sins. That you might know there's forgiveness with me, that you might fear me. But nevertheless, don't go out there. He ain't tell her, no, go and sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you. That's what he told her. That's what he told her. Go and sin no more. That's what he told her. He didn't give her a hug. He didn't give her a kiss. He didn't give her a pat on the back. He told her, don't you go out here sinning no more. That's what he told her. That's what y'all niggas think this man would have came and gave her. My dear sister, I know that you have trouble with your loins. No, don't go sin no more, nigga. That's what he told her. Let's just keep it 100. That's what he told her. He ain't do all that extra stuff y'all want this man to be doing. What you think he should do or what you wanted him to do. He didn't do none of that. He told her, don't you go sin no more now. Because lest a worse thing come on you. That's what he told her. Let these niggas stone you the next time. And I'ma let them. Basically. That's what he told her. I'ma let them stone you next time. Because I done spared you. When you ought to die. He did for her what he did for David. David considered, I ain't sinning no more. No, not me. That's why he said, because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, it's privily in the hearts of sons of men to do evil. You niggas look at, he ain't kill you for it right then, so I can go sleep with this hoe again. I can smoke that blunt. I can break that Sabbath. I can tell that lie. He ain't kill me for it. That's how you know you wicked. Because you looking at you ain't getting it, and then you think he supposed to have mercy on you when you know you wicked before you did it. I don't understand that. Come on, man. 2 Chronicles 15. I don't understand that. 15 and 7, right? 15 and 7, man. Boy. Nah, we finna read about the Ethiopian. We don't need to read about the Ethiopian going to battle with the people right now. 2 Chronicles 15 and 1. And the Ruach came upon Azariah the son of Oded. And he went out to meet Asa and said unto him, hear ye me, Asa, and all Yehuda and Benjamin. Yahuwah is with you. Listen to him now. He is with you while you be with him. And if you seek him, he will be found of you. Which is going back to what we were talking about. The healer said he came to seek those which need. The physician came to heal those that are sick. Asa is being sent to heal them that are sick. You got to realize, if you with him, he will be with you. If you seek him, he will find you. If you forsake him, he will forsake you. How do you forsake Yah? Doing your own will, committing sin. That's what Baasha did. That's why he forsook him. You can't be doing what you want to do and think y'all going, I'm going to still be with him. He sinned 5 times in a row. He repented though. He's working it out. You finna work it out with fire and worms, nigga. Because you forsaken him at this point. We look at forsaken as you put the book down. I don't believe in y'all no more. But when you don't do what he say, you don't believe in him, and you are forsaking him. When you commit sin, you are forsaking him. When sin separates you from Elohim, therefore you are abandoning him. He said, hear ye me, Asa, and all Yehuda and Benjamin. Yahuwah is with you, and while you be with him, and if you seek him, he will be found of you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. Now for a long season Yashar have been without the true Elohim, and without a teaching priest, and without Torah. But when they in their trouble did turn to Yahuwah Elohim of Yashar and sought him, he was found of them. And in those times there was no shalom to him that went out, nor to him that came in, but great vexations were upon all the inhabitants of the country. And that's dealing with nation shall rise against nation and all that stuff further on down the line. But we're going to drop on down because we getting short on time. Let me make sure like this here, man. Let's look at verse 8. Let's look at verse 7. Listen what he tell you. Y'all need to understand this. And after that, we'll look at 1 Corinthians 15 after we read just verse 7. He say, be ye strong, therefore, and let not your hands be weak, for your work shall be rewarded. See, let's look at 1 Corinthians chapter 15 by verse 55. That's what y'all need to sit back and realize is let your hand be strong. And after this, Hebrews chapter 12, because your work will be rewarded. Asa was rewarded for staying strong in the face of Baasha with his wicked behind. Because when he turned around and he started fortifying Yehuda and all this here, we read that on Wednesday. Baasha hit it. I'm going to get the verse for you again, so for some of y'all who didn't hear it and don't know what I'm talking about. That's 1 Kings chapter 15. And that's starting at about verse 17, when Baasha built Ramah to not allow anybody to come to the healer. Because that's what the scribes and Pharisees were trying to do, was stop the people from coming to the healer. And he went and got some treasures and made a league with Syria and all this and made a proclamation. And when Baasha seen that nigga hit it. That's in 1 Kings 15 though. You know, for those of y'all that didn't hear that or don't know what I'm talking about. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Look at the behavior of these kings. Asa was a king that cared for the people, who loved Yah and cared for the deliverance of the people. The kings of Yashar were selfish, and they were lovers of themselves, and only cared about their power and the esteem that they could get from the people, and they could care less about having the people walk in the sin of Jeroboam. They could care less, because they wanted to do what they wanted to do. Baasha and Jeroboam and all these kings wanted to do what they wanted to do, and these idols have no standard. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 55 actually. We'll look at verse 53. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortality must put on immortality. The reason why I'm looking at this here is the healer, Asa, is representative of Yahusha. Yahusha is healing you of sin so you can put on the incorruptible or put on the immortality or have your vile body made fashion like unto his esteemed body. Baasha is the wicked who are trying to keep you corruptible and to stay in this flesh, knowing that which is of flesh, and that which is of flesh shall perish. Because the carnal mind is enmity against the Torah of Elohim. It's not subject to the Torah of Elohim, neither indeed can be. So those that are in the flesh cannot please Elohim. Because Asa is representative of the healer, he pleased Yahuwah. Because Baasha is representative of the wicked, he could never please Elohim because he was carnal. And you have to look at that. That's why I'm sitting here telling you, if you got a lust problem, getting married is not going to cure that lust. You're carnal. Therefore, you cannot please Elohim. Your marriage may be honorable in his eyesight, but you're not. Because you still have wickedness in your mortal body that you have not extinguished. He said to mortify your members. How are you going to have a mind set on the things in Shamahim when you lusting for some butt? You lusting for a penis. How? How is that possible? Nevertheless. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the Torah. But thanks be to Elohim, which give us victory through our Master, Yahushua HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the master, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the master. Come back to 2 Chronicles 15. You have to know that your labor in Yahushua is not worthless. We know this from the law. This is not a vain thing for you. This is your life. So if you notice this, and that's why I tell y'all the thing that I'm telling y'all, because the things that I see our people do and all the different mediums that I may see them in. If you know that Yahuwah is faithful and just and true altogether, and righteous is he, and Baruch be his name, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, then you ought to trust and believe that you would cleave to people who are of him and are from him, in whatever capacity that you cleave to them in. And that you would also seek to do his will and not your own. And that you would seek to attain unto righteous counsels, and you would seek to have righteous friends, and you would seek to have a righteous spouse if you're not married. You know what I'm saying? This is what you would seek for. You know, sit back and look at how dumb our people live. Is y'all was in our face the whole time, and we couldn't recognize him because we wanted to see him how we wanted him to be. That's what your ancestors did, and we do it now. And somebody could have been sent to God from you straight right there in your face, looking you dead in your face, waving to you with a big old sign saying, y'all sent me here, and you can't see it. Because it ain't coming how you wanted it to come. And I said that to say this, because that's what they did to Yahushua. He didn't come how they wanted him to come or how they thought he would come. And he's standing there with a big old sign with his works and his actions showing, just like we read in John 8:42, that he proceeded from the Father and the Father sent him, and they couldn't see it. They couldn't even see it. That's how blind they were. That's how deaf they were. That's how hard their hearts were. Because he didn't come how they felt like he should come. And that's how we look at stuff when y'all send stuff to us or send people to us. They not coming how we feel like. Ain't nobody thinking of. If you get people like this here, what man of God will come and let fire come down from heaven and kill people? The kind of man that y'all son. Because he didn't come how you thought he would come or how you felt he should come. He came how y'all son him. Do you know what I'm saying? Some men will sit back and look at, y'all can put a righteous woman right in your face. And you know what she going to do? Hold you accountable as a man. And you going to think, see, she's a wicked woman. See, she won't submit because she's doing what a woman is supposed to do, which is holding you accountable as a man. Sarah did it. Rebecca did it. They did it. They weren't disrespectful in their dealings with their husband, but they held their husbands accountable when they needed to be held accountable. Being held accountable doesn't always necessarily mean that you did anything evil. She's just letting you know something. Sarah had no problem letting Abraham know, get this nigga out our house. She was holding him accountable. She already knew what the promise was. In Isaac shall thy seed be called. Get this nigga out of here. It doesn't matter if she gave her handmaid to him for him to lay with her to produce the child. That was the custom. Yeah, she was impatient with it. Still don't make no difference. When she told him that she was holding her husband accountable to do what was right, she didn't tell him nothing wrong. A nigga say she wicked. She's not a righteous, submissive woman. She held her husband accountable like she's supposed to. You didn't see Abraham say, who the woman thinks she is talking to me? He just was sad because he had to get rid of the boy. He didn't say nothing about that anything she said was wrong. And y'all backed him up and gave him a second witness. Go ahead and listen to your wife. She ain't told you nothing wrong. And he did it. Because it was nothing about what she said. It's just he just didn't want to toss the boy out. That's it. He didn't have a problem with what she said. He just was sad that, I got to put my son out. But she held her husband accountable. And dudes will see that in their face, and that there's a woman to tell you, hey, you need to tighten up, or Hey, you need to do this here, or hey, you need to make a decision, or this, that, and the third. Nigga kicking and screaming. She ain't no righteous woman, man. She do this here. Nigga, you's a sucker and a buster. Nigga, man up. Do you sit down to urinate or what? You know what I'm saying? Like, straight up. Weak-willed men, emotional men. That stuff's not cool. That man say, man, to gird up your loins and be ye men. Not a big deal. Your wife tell you, man, you need to tighten up. You need to handle this right here. How do you expect her to have any type of respect in your leadership ability if you weak? Nevertheless, what we back at? 2 Chronicles 15, verse 8, man. A man told you lift up the feeble knees and the hands that laying low. Tighten up, gird up your loins. It said, and when Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Oded the prophet, he took courage. When he heard that the word that Yah would be with him if he saw them, that gave him strength. And that should give you strength. And put away the abominable idols, out of the land, out of all the land of Yehuda and Benjamin, and out of the cities which he had taken from Mount Ephraim, and renewed the altar of Yehuda that was before the porch of Yehuda, and gathered all Yehuda and Benjamin and the strangers with them out of Ephraim and Manasseh and out of Simeon, for they fell to him out of Yashar in abundance when they saw that Yehuda his Elohim was with him. Oh, these people, and this is what Baasha feared. That's what he feared. That's what we sat back and we look at. That's why it was a war for souls. And look at what it sat back and said, and we're going to look at John chapter 11 in a minute. It said out of Ephraim, Manasseh, and Simeon, all them came to Jerusalem because they seen Yah was with Asa. And why was Yah with Asa? Because he obeyed. That's what they saw. This is what we were looking at when we were talking about manner of life about a week or so ago. They seen his manner of life and they came to cleave unto him. They seen the manifestation of the faith. They looking at this wicked nigga and seeing truly y'all can't be with him. Look at what this wicked nigga is doing. John chapter 11 verse 48. We just line it up with what Baasha was trying to stop. Why he didn't want the people to come to Asa. Because Baasha knew that Yah was with him. Just like the scribes knew that Yah was with Hamashiach. And that's what he mean when he say they don't want you to get into the kingdom. And then it just goes into, and after this we look at Acts chapter 5, praise the Lamb. At the bottom line, that's what you seen from Simeon and Ephraim and Manasseh. Those people in those particular territories in the land seen that Baasha was wicked as his name. Ain't that something you walking around and they be like, hey, wicked, and that's your name. That's this man's name. Hey, wicked. Hey, wicked. I'd have been mad. My mom, I'd have like, man, you got a name. Nah, man, we can't be like this here, man. Don't call, man. You won't call name a nigga wicked. That's your name? That's rough, man. That's rough. Make that 45. Then many of the Yahudim which came to Mary and seen the things which Yahushua did believed on him. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahushua had done. Then gathered the chief priests and Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man do many miracles. And if we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. That's all Baasha cared about. That was all Jeroboam cared about. Niggas wanted their position and their fame. Because they sat back and seen that they gonna see that Yah is with this man. And we're going to lose our spot. The people in these particular places see that Yah was with him. Why did they see Yah was with him? Because he was removing sin from amongst the people. He was reforming and correcting the people. Titus chapter 2 actually. This is what you see the healer doing, which is the same thing that Hamashiach did. Titus chapter 2, verse 8. Titus chapter 2, verse 8. I got to get ready to war on this down. We didn't get the other kings that I mentioned. Y'all willing, we get them on tomorrow. Like I said, we're not going to rush nothing. We're not going to cram nothing. We're going to take our time and look at every single solitary one of these niggas. Every single sanitary one of them. When I say niggas, the wicked ones. But you know, Asa was a righteous man. But we going to look at Asa and see how it ended with him, though. Because it didn't end well with him. It didn't end well with him. Sound speech that cannot be condemned. That he that is on the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. Exhort servants to be obedient unto their own masters, and to please them well in all things, not answering again, not purloining, but showing good fidelity, that they may adorn the doctrine of Elohim our Savior in all things. For the favor of Elohim that brings salvation have appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world, looking for that baruched hope and esteemed appearing of the great Elohim and our Savior Yahushua HaMashiach, who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works. Now this man has taken the time to redeem you and to cleanse you, to make you to have a jealousy of him and for him, to do what's right. To do what's right. Come on back to 2 Chronicles chapter 15. Let's look at verse 10. I want you to see what ends up happening, what Asa does here. It says, so they gathered themselves together at Jerusalem in the 3rd month, in the 15th year of the reign of Asa, and they offered unto Yahuwah the same time of the spoil which they had brought, 700 oxen, 7,000 sheep. Now this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is of the spoil of that Ethiopian war that we didn't read about, and most high willing, we come back to it, but tonight is not that night. And they entered into a covenant to seek Yahuwah Elohim of their fathers with all their heart and with all their soul, that whosoever would not seek Yahuwah Elohim of Yashar should be put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman. And they swear unto Yahuwah with a loud voice, and with shouting, and with trumpets, and with cornets. And all Yehudah rejoiced at the oath. For they had sworn with all their heart, and sought him with their whole desire. And he was found of them, and Yahuwah gave them rest. Notice that he said that they sought him with all their heart and all their desire. How many of you can sincerely say you seeking this man with all your heart and all your desire? How many of us can sincerely say that's what we doing? With the whole heart, with the whole desire, with every part of you. Because when we look at that whole desire, it's ratzon, it's pleasure, it's delight, it's goodwill, it's acceptance, it's self-will. And that takes us back to what he told you in Jeremiah, that the word of Yahuwah is a reproach unto them. They have no delight in it. Which takes us back to the fruits of the Ruach, which one of them being is joy. That you joyfully seek. See, people take it as the joy of Yah is just, and it is to a certain extent, because you know David was joyful when he went to breaking out dancing. And even when he broke out into the dancing, you had a nigga hating who didn't really love Yah. Look at him, he dancing, he making a fool out of himself. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Clown nigga. So when you turn around and you look at it in this aspect, and we look at it this way, right? That joy is also referring to a delight in your heart to do this man's will. Come over here to Hebrew chapter 10. See, ain't nobody gonna tell you that to do the joy, that the desire and the delight and the joy is to do what this man tell you to do. But you think the joy is singing and dancing and clapping around. I'm happy. No, that don't mean you happy. You could be putting on a show. Niggas put on shows in church every Sunday. The people look very happy. But that's not the joy of Elohim in them. Because they don't have the desire to seek him with the whole heart, with every part of them. Self-will. I desire to do this. I offer myself willingly as a living sacrifice. Nobody's forcing me to do it. Nobody's cajoling me to do it. I'm doing it because this is what I want to do. For the joy that is set before me, I endured the stake. Because the master came to die. He wanted to die. It behooved him to be made like unto his brethren and come to die. That is what that means. And we'll look at that since I stated it. Hebrew 10 is here. It would help if I was in chapter 10, now, wouldn't it? Make it 5. Make it 4. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and of goats should take away sins. Wherefore, when he come into the world, he saith, sacrifice and offering thou would not, but a body thou hast prepared for me. And burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin thou hast no pleasure. Then said I, Lo, I come in the volume of the book. It is written of me, to do thy will, O Elohim. Now that was Hebrews chapter 12 I was referencing. They say, for the joy set before him, he endured the stay. Because he came to die. Let's go to John chapter 10, verse 18. He came to die. Now remember, we looking in 2 Chronicles 15, where it states that the people entered into a covenant, Yah, with the whole desire and with the whole heart. And that we know a testator is of no effect while the testator lives, but the testator has to die. Hamashiach came to do this and enter into a covenant with the whole heart, the whole desire. He wanted to do it. That's why he said you got to seek him and you'll find him, because you got to want to seek him. You got to want to do it. See, everybody don't want to do it because it requires sacrifice, as we see it. It requires a price to be paid. And that price is not a price that everybody's willing to pay. John 10 and 8, 17. Therefore doth my Father love me, because I lay down my life that I might take it again. No man take it from me, I lay it down of myself. I have power to lay it down, and I have power to take it again. This commandment have I received of my Father. And listen what it said. It said there was division therefore among the Yahudim for these sayings. Many of them said he have a devil and is mad. Why hear ye him? That's what type of time Baasha was on. Asa got a devil in him, tearing down the groves and getting the punks out the land. Surely he's gone crazy. But notice that the master said, nobody take my life from me. I do this on my own. Nobody makes me do this. I do this on. The Father could not make Hamashiach die. We need to understand and know that. The Father couldn't say, son, you're going to die, because Yahushua could have bucked. I don't think that we just sit back. We look at it as if he was a robot. This man loved and believed in Abba Yahuwah so much that he stayed in line to this. He loved us enough to stay in line with it. He could have bucked. Y'all really need to understand and know that. He could have said, screw all of y'all. All y'all can die. That's what he could have did. Do you not understand that that's what grace is, that favor and mercy? He could have said, man, pop, them niggas dead. I ain't doing it. Screw it. If I die, I die. I'm not doing it. Them niggas scarred me. I'm tired of them. These niggas be calling me a devil. These niggas be trying to stone me. They calling me this. They calling me that. Man, screw them. He could have bucked. I don't think we really realize that this man could have bucked. The only thing that stopped him from bucking was the fear and faith of Yahuwah. That's what stopped him. And that's the same thing that can stop you from bucking. Niggas don't have the fear and faith in Yahuwah. That's why they buck. That's why they buck. Got to 2 Chronicles 15 because I'm starting to run long. And I know y'all willing, if he spare our lives and our souls, that we got days to add this stuff on here, this information, if he see fit and be merciful. I'm going to read verse 15 again. All Yehuda rejoiced at the oath, for they had sworn with all their heart and sought him with their whole desire. He was found of them, and Yahuwah gave them rest round about. I promise to you, if y'all seek him with the whole desire and with the whole heart, that you will be found of him, and he will give you shalom. I promise you that, because that's what he said. And we've seen that in other places this evening. He will do it. He is a man of his word. And also concerning Makah, the mother of Asa the Malik, he removed her from being Malkah because she made an idol in a grove. And Asa cut down her idol and stamped it and burnt it at the brook of Kidron. But the high places were not taken out of Yashar. Nevertheless, the heart of Asa was perfect all his days. And he brought into the house of Elohim the things that his father had dedicated, and that he himself had dedicated silver and gold and vessels, and there was no more war until the 5th and 30-year reign of Asa. You know why it wasn't no more war? Because he killed Baasha. Y'all let Baasha get knocked off. See, while Baasha was alive, him and Asa had a lot of battles. But once he did that last move that we read, that we mentioned in 1 Kings 15 that we read Wednesday, those battles stopped. And Asa continued. And it'll show you that just like we read it in Genesis 3 and 15, they'll bruise your heel, but you're going to bruise his head. You're going to step on them and you will vanquish your enemies. Just like we read in 1 Corinthians 15. The righteous will always overtake the wicked. It ain't but a matter of time. It seemed for a little bit Baasha had the upper hand on Asa. But Asa stayed faithful to Yahuwah, and in the end, Asa prevailed. It seemed like for a minute the scribes and Pharisees had the upper hand on Mashiach. He died, they killed him. But then the Father resurrected him from the dead, and in the end, the healer prevailed over the wicked. The healer will always prevail over the wicked. The righteous will always prevail over the wicked. The law tells you that he will not justify the wicked over the righteous. Have you not read? Do you not know? Are you lacking understanding when it comes to that? If we know this, then we wouldn't be wicked and we would stay steadfast in righteousness, knowing that there's a reward for our labor. Nevertheless, 2 Chronicles chapter 16, we'll look at the end of Asa's reign and call it an evening. And in the 36th year of the reign of Asa, Baasha, king of Yashar, came up against Yehuda and built Ramah to the intent that he might let none go out or come in to Asa, king of Yehuda, which we looked at in Kings. Then Asa brought out the silver and gold treasures of the house. And we didn't went through all that, so we're going to just leave that alone. We read that in 1 Kings chapter 15. Verse 7 though. At that time Hananiah the seer came to Asa, Malach of Yehuda, and said unto him, and it doesn't mention this in 1 Kings 15. And this is where Asa messed up. So we got to look at that. And at that time Hananiah the seer came to Asa, Malach of Yehuda, and said unto him, because thou relied on the king of Syria, and not relied on Yahuwah thy Elohim, therefore is the host of the king of Syria escaped out of thy hand. Were not the Ethiopians and the Lubims a huge host, with very many chariots and horsemen? Yet because thou did rely on Yahuwah, he delivered them into thy hand. And that's the story that's in 2 Chronicles 14, which Yahuwah willing, we will revisit. For the eyes of Yahuwah, listen to him now, for the eyes of Yahuwah run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to show himself strong in behalf of them whose heart is perfect towards him. He say, herein thou hast done foolishly, from henceforth thou shalt have wars. Now when we turn around and you look at it, now let's sit back and look at the spiritual level of Asa and Baasha, the healer versus the wicked. Corinthians chapter 4. And after 2 Corinthians 4, just a simple thing in Ephesians chapter 6, if some of y'all mind to sit back and look at that. And you can see that what Asa had going on versus Baasha was more of a spiritual thing. But because Asa relied on the flesh and not Elohim, he could not come out victorious in the end when he should have been relying on his Elohim like he did when he faced the Ethiopians. And that's what ends up happening with us a lot of times. We have an instance where we rely on Yah and we win, and then we get another instance and we rely on ourselves, and then Yah has to bust you upside your dome. And the lesson in this is you need to rely on Yahuwah every single time. See, let me tell you something, right? You gotta be ready to die for what you believe in, and you gotta be ready to ride all the time, not when it's convenient for you. See, niggas only ride for y'all when it's convenient. You gotta ride all the time, if that's what you believe in. But I be thinking that ain't what niggas believe in. That's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. Yeah, make sure I got the right spot, what I want, man. Because I just don't see what I'm looking for. I know what it says, but I just don't see what I'm looking for. Well, we'll swing the, what is that jump, man? Is that chapter 2? Chapter 2, no? Yes, it is. 2 Corinthians 10 and 4. But we'll look at verse 3. 10 and 3. My apologies. It was chapter 10. I'm thinking it was 5, but it wasn't 5 at all. He say, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Elohim to the pulling down of strongholds. See, and that's what Asa messed up at. Because he looked at that the weapons of his warfare were carnal versus that the weapons of his warfare were spiritual through Elohim, and that Elohim would have pulled his enemies down. And that's where we have to sit back and look at. Anything that is contrary to Yahuwah is our enemy, and we have to realize that our weapons of our warfare are not carnal. See, he didn't need any carnal weapons to take out Baasha. But yet he sought to use carnal weapons to take out Baasha and taking down the Syrians. He didn't need any carnal weapons to take down the wicked, because Yahuwah desired to destroy the wicked every day. Say he's angry at the wicked every day. Every day. Say he hateth the workers of iniquity. He hates idolaters, because idolaters are lawless. You're an abomination to him. See, when we look at Baasha, this is what Baasha did. Baasha violated the certain things in Proverbs chapter 6. The 6 things that are an abomination, yea, even 7 things that he hate. The number 1 thing that Baasha did is he sowed discord among brethren, because he sought chiefly to separate the people from Asa, to not allow them to go in or to come out to him. So therefore he committed that abomination. Why? Because he serves an idol, so therefore he can do what he want to do. He had a heart that devised wicked imaginations for devising such a plan. He had feet swift to run into mischief and committing such a plan. And you know, it's people that participate in these type of activities on a day-to-day basis and think Yahuwah would be pleased with them. How do you think Yahuwah would be pleased with you and you sowing discord? Purposely and willfully sowing discord. How would he be pleased? Someone explain that to me. I'd like to know how. Clearly we know that Baasha had a proud look, because he wouldn't humble himself unto the hand of the mighty Elohim to do that which is right. So therefore he's committed a numerous amount of abominations, therefore heaping wrath up unto himself. But let me read this Ephesians chapter 6 so we can get back to 2 Chronicles 16 so I can let y'all depart. It is about 11:30. We've been going for about 2.5 hours. I know Brother Burson has shared the video from the other day with and tagged so many people in it. I seen the people say that video too long. I say, shoot, that's a short one. You talking about Wednesday. I say, I hate for her to see the Shabbat then. And she felt like an hour was too long. But I just say that it is funny how people sit back and look at that. It's 2 hours is too long to hear the word of the God you say you love, but yet we watch 2-hour movies, 3-hour movies, 5-6 hour miniseries. You know what I'm saying? Our YouTube videos about nothing. Go to 2-hour concerts. Do you know what I'm saying? But the man who we say we love, we can't sit down and hear his word for 2 hours because I'm tired. He going too long. I don't understand that. And that goes to priorities and what's important to you. But what do I know? Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. Say, put on the whole armor of Elohim, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and against powers and against the rulers of darkness in this world and against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's what Baasha was fighting. I mean, that's what Asa was fighting in Baasha. It was spiritual wickedness in high places, because he was the Malach of Yashar. He was in the highest place in the land. And you got to be able to understand that and know that to be able to. That's what you're fighting against. Back to 2 Chronicles chapter 16. And look what Asa did when he called it correction. Now Asa done turned around and committed the abomination, because now his proud look is about to arise. Then Asa was wroth with the seer and put him in a prison house, for he was enraged with him because of this thing. And Asa oppressed some of the people the same time. Now Asa done quick and took his feet to swift to be running to mischief. And behold, the acts of Asa, the first and the last, they are written in the book of the Maliks of Yehuda and Yashar. And Asa in the 39th year of his reign was diseased in his feet, until his disease was exceeding great. And yet in his disease he sought not to Yahuwah, but to the physicians. And instead of seeking to Yahuwah, what did he do? He sought a doctor. He thought he could be healed with the herb. Look at, like, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Please don't get it twisted. Please don't get it twisted. We know that Yah has made certain plants that are for the healing of the nations. Even though when they say healing for the nation, that's talking about the tree of life. Let's let that be known. That's not talking about no herbs none of you niggas can grow. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no plants that none of y'all can grow when he said that the leaves are for the healing of the nations. Let's just let that be known. Because when he talking about that tree is the tree of life. That's not man tree out here growing nowhere. Let's let that be known. Because a lot of people say that, and it's not talking about no tree that you can grow. That's talking about the tree of life. When you read that Revelation 22, that is Ezekiel 47, that is Joel chapter 3, that is Zechariah 14, that is the tree of life. Those leaves are for the healing of the nations. Now, at the same token, we know that this man has made certain natural substances that are for healing. And we know back then there wasn't no pharmaceutical doctors and, you know what I'm saying, ibuprofen and all that stuff that those physicians were giving him. They were giving him natural herbs. And yet still Yah was displeased with Asa because Asa did not seek to him first. He sought to man to save him. And I'm saying that to see how niggas run after Dr. Sebi, even though he dead, and niggas sit there my oh, they cracker killed him. Maybe y'all killed Dr. Sebi to let y'all know that he is but a man, and that no matter what he take, he never sought to me, so therefore he ought to die. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody, no brew ain't even thinking about that. Dr. Sebi is a man, and he never once sought to Yahuwah, so he ought to die. And guess what niggas doing? They taking that, oh, if I take this, what he make, and I take this, I'm going to like this here. And you still are not seeking to Yahuwah. You seeking to a man. You ought to die because you don't trust in Yahuwah. You trust in the creation. That's the problem. Nobody's saying that you should not take those things. Nobody's saying those things are not good. What we're saying is that people trust unto the creation and not he who created it. That's the problem. Because I can see that in people's attitudes and in their speech when it pertains to matters of that type. Nevertheless, and Asa slept with his fathers and died in the 41st year of his reign. And they buried him in his own sepulchre, which he had made for himself in the city of Dawood, and laid him in a bed which was filled with sweet odors and diverse kinds of spices, prepared by the Apocalypse's art, and there were very great burning for him. And that's the same as when they prepared the master's body, the spices upon his death. But with that being said, because we'll stop, because we went kind of long, hallelujah for Yahusha and the word. Everybody understood all this here?